Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Bork. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Happy Thursday. Happy Big Thursday. Really big Thursday. Big Thursday for Bitcoin. Big Thursday for the CFRN live Emini Trading Room today. And there's probably a lot of other big stuff out there too. So happy Big Thursday. Make your Thursday a big Thursday. Thanks for joining us. If you're returning, welcome back. If you're here for the first time, a special welcome to you. I have a chart up of the S&P 500 Emini Futures. If you can't see it and you want to see it, piece of cake. Go to our homepage, cfrn.net. Right hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. You'll be registered all the way through the end of November. That means you'll be able to join FRN/live. Bookmark that page and you'll have one-click access. Opening bit, get it? Bitcoin trading saw the cryptocurrency soar to a peak of $6,994, having opened the session at $6,750. At the last glance, $6,939. As per CoinMarketCap, Bitcoin is up over 20.5% for the last 7 days, and its market capitalization has now peaked at over $116 billion. Elsewhere in the markets, newly created cryptocurrency Bitcoin Cash is again making significant gains, trading at around $546. BCH, it looks like we got us a tax plan or a reform bill, or House GOP leaders today took their biggest step yet in their attempt to overhaul the U.S. tax code by releasing legislation that proposes sweeping changes to the current system. The 429-page Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, what happened? We were going to put it on a postcard. Includes a broad set of proposed changes to the corporate and individual tax system, building off a 9-page framework the White House and congressional Republican leaders dropped in September. We've gone from a postcard to 429 pages. President Donald Trump reiterated his desire to get the tax bill on his desk by Christmas during a meeting at the White House Tuesday. The president also concurred with the timeline House Ways and Means Committee Chair Kevin Brady, the author of the tax bill. He wants to pass the plan through the House by Thanksgiving. While the initial plan will be released today, many GOP members are already suggesting that the bill could be substantially rewritten over the $1.51 trillion of the federal deficit over the next 10 years. As it stands, the Senate is using the process known as budget reconciliation for the bill to avoid a Democratic filibuster. Among other rules, the reconciliation framework in the recently passed budget resolution allows for the bill to add $1.5 trillion to the debt over 10 years. Here are some details. The highest tax bracket will remain at 39. Individual tax brackets, 12% applies to incomes up to $45,000 for an individual and $90,000 for a married couple. 25% applies to income up to $200,000 for an individual and $260,000 for couples. And 35% applies to incomes up to $500,000 for an individual and $1 million for couples. One of the biggest hang-ups for the Republicans in states like New York, New Jersey, and California has been the proposed elimination of the state and local tax deduction. The benefit allows people to deduct those taxes from their federal bill. Brady said Tuesday the GOP reached a deal that would allow people to deduct state and local property taxes up to $10,000, but not income or sales taxes. Corporate tax cut will be immediate and permanent. What exactly to do with the corporate tax rate has been a fluid situation over the past week, but it appears the cut to 20% from the current 35% will happen as soon as the tax bill cuts in and is designed to be permanent. Elimination of the estate tax. The threshold for the tax, which only applies to estates greater than $5.6 million, would double to over $10 million. Then the plan would phase out the tax after 6 years. The repatriation rate on overseas assets for U.S. companies would be as high as 12%. The bill also may include a mandatory repatriation of all foreign assets. Illiquid assets would be taxed at a lower rate, spread out over a longer time than liquid assets like cash. No repeal of Obamacare's individual mandate. No change to 401k. Increase in the size of the child tax credit. This is a pet project of Ivanka. The proposal is to increase the credit to $1,600 from $1,000. The bill would also add a credit of $300 for each non-child dependent or parent for 5 years, after which that provision would expire. This is a killer, limiting home mortgage interest deduction. On new home purchases, interest on loans up to $500,000 would be deductible. Current limit is $1 million. A larger standard deduction. To avoid raising taxes on those currently in the 10% bracket, the standard deduction for all taxes would increase to $12,000 for individuals, up from $6,350, and $24,000 for married couples, up from $12,700. These are slightly less than the doubled expectations that were expected, but the idea that this would save people money may be misleading since it eliminates other personal deductions and a secondary standard deduction. There's a 25% pass-through for business, elimination of most personalized personal itemized deductions and mini credits. They're whacking the only deduction preserved explicitly is charitable gifts and the edited home mortgage interest. Ones that are getting whacked: elimination of student loan interest deduction, elimination of medical expense deduction, elimination of the moving deduction, elimination of alimony payment deduction, repeal of the alternative minimum tax. Oh boy. Well, it's certainly not exactly what we were hoping for, but baby, it's what we got. All right, let's take a look at the cash markets around the world as they stand. The Dow is currently up 30 points. NASDAQ is down 13. S&P 500 down 2.5, and the Russell 2000 up 2.5. Gold up $2.20, 19 points, 0.5%. I got so many other just financial regulation. If confirmed by the Senate, Mr. Powell would succeed Fed Chairman Janet Yellen, the central bank's first female leader, whose 4-year term as Fed chief expires in early February. So she didn't get reappointed, but she didn't get fired, so I guess all's well that ends well. Okay, Michael will be with us in just... In fact, while we wait for Michael, I could shoot. There's still 2 more below, but I don't think we need to worry with them because we didn't get there. That was the Sunday night. Missed it by... Well, we went down, up, down, so we missed it by 3 ticks, went back up, and then on this time down, missed it by 3 ticks, and then back up. It adds up pretty quick. And did a little more consolidating here, made a run at that zone, overshot it. That is our high point of the week, and then we stair-stepped it down. Zone, little consolidation, zone, back up to the zone, I think almost to the tick. Nope, missed it by 2 ticks. Back down to the zone, tried for a rally, and boy, it just collapsed. This zone held as good support. We rallied and just ran out of gas. Flipped over, came back to the zone, up to the zone, down to the zone, and now we're trying to head back to 79.80. The market is always trying to do something, and in this case it's trying to either get to the zone overhead or the zone below. To trade 77 to 79, that might not be such a bad thing. That'd be 2 points for the day. So we'll edit this to say this week's. Now, while some partners do just trade the zones, most use them as a backdrop to know where they're going to potentially run into resistance or find support, and they place their trades accordingly. See, once price runs up and hits this zone and you get this red candle here, I mean, selling here 74 down to 72, sometimes that almost seems like a biggie, like a given. Okay, Michael's back. I just saw that on my phone. Michael, if you're ready, take it away.
Okay. Oops. Not ready.
Big day, really big day.
What's big day?
Will you be signing autographs later, or?
If people want to sign.
Okay. Coming in there. All right. I can see you. This guy spent $7,000 on a single measure of whiskey in a ritzy Swiss hotel, but it turned out to be fake. Can you imagine? I mean, some people just have too much time and too much money. Let's admit it. $7,000 on a shot of whiskey. And he probably thought it was the most incredible thing he'd ever tasted in his life. And it was a stone cold fake. I wonder how much the bar paid for that bottle, or if they were the perpetrators of the fraud. Doesn't say right here, it's just a headline.
There was a Chinese place up in Massachusetts that it was $1,000 a shot, and of course I would never do that. But I don't know, a third of the bottle was gone. So apparently some people up there are paying for it.
Well, crazy. I bet Mark Zuckerberg, I don't know if he's a drinking man, but he could afford it. Facebook crushed its third quarter earnings, but warned investors that future profitability will be impacted by increased investments in security. The social network grew its daily active users to 1.37 billion, a 50 million user increase in just the last quarter. Unbelievable.
That is unbelievable. That is a lot of people.
That boy's got the golden touch. So it seems. All right, buddy, I'll hit mute and you can take it away.
Okay, here we go. Alright, good afternoon everyone. Today is Thursday, the second day of November 2017. Let's see. Today, well, first, let me start off by saying happy birthday to my sister Debbie and to Macy. It's both their birthdays today. And to anyone else whose birthday is today. Today, if you have not taken the free trial, go to the homepage here at CFRN.net. It says sign up for the CFRN Live Training Room 100% free trial. User indicators, learner strategy. Click here. When you click there, you will be brought here. Okay, on this page, just put in your email, put in your first name, tell us how you found us, and hit the submit button. Once you do that, you'll be sent a confirmation link. Okay, you must click on that confirmation link. If you don't click the link, well, you won't get a free trial, because we don't know you took the trial until you click the link. Okay, I really need to change the name of this, because last time I renamed it was 2 years ago, and we're almost in 2018 now. But anyway, today we made 16 ticks in the euro, 1 tick in the pound. We lost 7 ticks in crude, and we made 36 ticks in gold. That got us up to 396.25. Okay. Took 65 minutes and 7 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up 107.5, and we took a total of 16 opportunities today. Okay, so on the month now, we're at 503.75. That's over 2 days, averaging 251 per day. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you can read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Okay. That's that and that. And now this. Okay, we'll get into the stuff that we did today. We had a big day in gold today. Okay, we started off way over here and we didn't have anything in gold to start out with. You know, we started at 9 a.m. again and we only got 2 ticks in the pre-market. 2 euro ticks in the pre-market. Then gold started to move and we started to jump on it. First, gold was right here for 1 tick. The second was right there for 17 ticks. The third was over here for 4. The next one was right here for 10. I missed that one. I missed that one. And the last one was right here for 4. Put us at plus 36 on the day. During the break, it looks like there was a momentum short right here. And another one right here. That needs to still be in right now, probably. Okay. And that was it on the gold. Right. Okay, on the euro. Let's go back to the beginning. Our first move here was break even on the euro. Then we got +2. And +1 more to get to 3. Then +10 to get to 13. And +3 to get to 16. And a break even. We missed that. And we had another break even over here. Okay, so during the break there was a shorting opportunity right there. And another one right there. And that was it during the break. It did not put in a lower swing here, so there's no more on the short side on the euro. On the pound, we only had, well, I missed that one, but we did get +1 tick there. We missed that one, and that one, and not really anything during the break. Okay, the slingshot was not right during the break. Okay, on the crude oil, we had a break even, and a +1, then a break even, then a -8. Okay, so we ended up with -7 on the crude. And it was really nothing during the break. Okay. Possibly, yeah, we're not trending, so really nothing during the break on the crude. Now the ES had some volatility today. Look at this thing. Started out way up here at the high of the day. Okay. And it came down through the zone. Now it had to break this dynamic support before you would have a trade. So the first trade opportunity was right there on the ES. Okay. Then changed directions, came back up, and it would have had to break this before you could take a long. So you got nothing there. And right here was a shorting opportunity. Okay. So the ES had 3 opportunities today, which is 3 times its normal. That's not true. It usually has 1 or 2 during the day. But that was it. That was it on our day. Okay, so let's go back to the spreadsheet. Today, 16 ticks on the euro, 1 tick on the pound, -7 on crude, +36 on gold. So 396.25. Today it took 65 minutes and 7 trades to get to the goal for the day, and at that point, we're at 107.50, same as yesterday. Which is odd. Gross monthly profit so far, 503.75. That's over 2 days, averaging 251 per day. Again, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down. Gross yearly total, 28,786. That's over 207 days, averaging 139 per day. Okay, 139 per day. So, I'm pretty happy with the way this month is starting out. And hopefully we'll keep the volatility up. Alright, with that, we'll pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona. Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. If you are ready.
Ready I am, and I just got word from Ed Corey, who was unable to be with us last week, but he will be here today at the top of the hour.
Okay, excellent. Excellent.
Now let me just grab these charts. One last click. And we got a bingo. And let's see. Question for you in the chat box. I don't know if you just want to answer it in the box or email or.
Let me go and look and see what she is referring to.
Some folks may have heard of a guy by the name of Eric Schmidt. Sort of a big guy on a big Thursday in Silicon Valley. He is the executive chairman of Google's parent company, Alphabet. He is warning us that China is poised to overtake the U.S. in the field of artificial intelligence if the U.S. government doesn't act soon. Speaking at the Artificial Intelligence and Global Security Summit on Wednesday, the former Google CEO said, "Trust me, these Chinese people are good." Now, we got some of the smartest guys in America warning us about artificial intelligence and how it could get out of hand. China already has the largest standing army in the world. Boy, throw in a few million robots and I smell trouble. So, what was the recap of the recap, Mike?
Today, it took 65 minutes and 7 trades to get to 107.50. 65.
But at one point, you were up way higher than that, right?
Yeah, I had one stop out after I had sent you that text. I was up 470 something. Then I had to stop out minus 80. That put me down to 396. I think something 390. Hang on, I'll tell you exactly. 396.25 gross.
Gotcha. Google has announced some new hardware, a set of devices to help businesses with video conferencing. The Hangouts Meet hardware comprises of a touch screen controller, a 4K camera, a speaker mic, and a Chromebox computer. Now, I was on a video conference with Google yesterday myself, and it was a pretty torturous experience. I think the guy, maybe he was new, so I'm cutting him a break, but it took us several times to get the thing up and running. Elon Musk has said Tesla aims to start producing cars in China in 2020. Ooh, that's not going to make Trump happy. The news follows a Wall Street Journal report that Tesla struck a deal with Shanghai's government to set up its own manufacturing facility in the city. Which begs the question, if you could buy an American-made Tesla and you could buy a Chinese-made Tesla, would it affect your decision, Michael? If they were priced the same, or even if the Chinese one was priced a little less? What's your thought?
I would buy American.
Yeah.
I would buy American.
Yeah.
I always buy American.
Just out of loyalty, or because of perhaps quality?
Both, really.
Okay. I think that is a very fair assessment of the situation. That's what I think. So, them boys won that ball game last night, didn't they?
You know what? I didn't even watch.
Oh, but then I won't tell you.
Yeah,
And
don't tell me.
and then the shortstop, one of the shortstops, proposed to his fiancée, girlfriend, whatever. That was one big rock.
Yeah. I thought I heard something about like an 8-carat rock or something like that. I don't know if that was the right one, but I don't know. It was something I heard on the radio yesterday.
People in the nosebleed seats were blinded. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Trump is calling for the death penalty on this thing that happened in New York. Seyfulo Sepov is being charged with terrorism for allegedly killing 8 people by driving a rented truck down a bike path in Lower Manhattan. The New York Police Department's Deputy Commissioner, John Miller, said Sepov executed the attack in the name of ISIS, planned it for weeks, picking Halloween to inflict maximum damage, and following ISIS instructions posted on social media almost exactly to a T. President Trump called for quick and strong justice for terror suspects, saying they target the U.S. because the justice system is so slow and lenient on terrorists that it's a laughingstock. Trump said he would consider sending this animal to Guantanamo Bay. And again, Trump wants to end the lottery visa program that this guy used to get into the country 7 years ago. Congress has released samples of Russia-linked Facebook ads. I don't have a copy. The ads represented a small sample of the 3,000 or so ads that Facebook has found and given to Congress. The ads called for protests against Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. They stoked both support and opposition to Bernie Sanders, minorities, Muslims, and gays. They provide a window into how Russia allegedly sought to divide the U.S. through bogus and incendiary posts on controversial topics. Man, that seems like a whole lot of work. I was looking to see here if I have a copy of one of those ads. I'll try to have one for you tomorrow. I will indeed. The Fed left the interest rate unchanged yesterday, and we have a new appointment. Janet's not getting fired, but when her term expires in February, the new fellow will be taking over, Fed Governor Jerome Powell. Powell has supported Yellen's careful approach to raising interest rates and unwinding other monetary policies the central bank used to help boost the economy after the Great Recession. Fed policymakers yesterday in their statement played down negative impact from the summer's devastating hurricanes. The statement, which followed expectations, suggested that the Fed remained on track to make its third gradual interest rate hike of the year at its December meeting. A gunman in Walmart in Colorado. Unbelievable. A gunman nonchalantly walked into a Walmart store in suburban Denver and just began randomly shooting people. He killed 2 men and a woman. A Colorado Police Department spokesman said the killer, described as a Caucasian man dressed casually in a black jacket and jeans, said nothing during the shooting. No Allah Akbar. He fled in a red Mitsubishi Mirage 4-door hatchback. Customer Aaron Stevens, who was in the self-checkout line when he heard gunfire, said people screamed and ran for exits. I feared for my life, he said. A lady came running back, screaming about the shots. I got her out, said employee Jay Thompson, 18, who was working in the back of the store. Hundreds of emergency responders surrounded the shopping center for hours after the shooting. I guess this guy's still on the run. So if you're in Colorado, probably shop at Kmart today, if you still have one. Okay, is John here? He is not. So let's go to our good word for the day, and then we'll go to the Concierge Trade Alerts. What do you say? What do you say? Tonight is Partners Workshop. I'm sure Michael mentioned it to you. In order to get into the partners meeting, it's true you have to be a partner. If you have... Oh, Joan says she just read a report that the Walmart guy is in custody now. Well, that's good to know. Thank you, Joan. If you've been on the trial, Michael sent you an email earlier in the week that explains everything you receive and everything it takes to become a partner. If you have questions about it, or didn't receive it, or the dog ate it, call 949-423-6464. That's also 949-42-EMINI. And we'll resend the email or answer any and all questions you have. The sooner the better, so that we can get your paperwork processed and get your invitation to you to be in the meeting tonight. 9 p.m. Eastern, every Thursday night. Okay. I said we would go to the good word for the day, and here we go. If it's God's will, you can have it. 1 John 5:14. If we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. I got to say that again. If we ask anything according to his will. Now see, sometimes it's our will. It's what we want, but maybe he doesn't want it for us. So if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. 1 John 5:14. Once upon a time, 3 men were marooned on a desert island with little hope of being rescued. One day they were walking around the island when one of them picked up an old tarnished lamp. Yes, when he rubbed it, a genie did appear and offered to grant each man one wish. First man said, "I wish I was back in my office in Boston." Poof. There he was. The second one said, "I wish I was home with my family in London," and poof. There he was. The third man looked around and said, "It's so lonely here now. I wish my friends were back with me." The problem with wishing is that genies and magic lamps, they don't really exist. Spoiler alert, I guess I should have said. But God does. And since He is in control of your life, and He's more powerful than any genie, when your wishes become prayers that line up with His will, they can become a reality. Does the Bible teach that, you ask? Yes, it does. This is the confidence we have in approaching God. If we ask anything according to His will, He hears us. And if we know that He hears us, whatever we ask, we know that we have what we asked of Him, with that caveat, as long as it's according to His will. 1 John 5:14 and 15, great scripture for a little bit of meditation. But even when your wish is in line with God's will, you need one more thing: faith. Faith does two things. Number one, it opens your eyes to see that God's promises are for you personally. And number two, it acts like a magnet, drawing the fulfillment of His promise into your life. So what are you wishing for? According to the Word, if it's God's will, you can have it. That's something that I've said for many years. It was an epiphany, and I've stuck with it. Faith is not what you believe. I'll say that again. Faith is not what you believe. Faith is what you do with what you believe. You see, in the original Greek, faith, pistis, was the word, and it was an action verb. It denoted movement, doing something. Jesus didn't lounge around. He was always out, walking and talking and praying and healing and shaking hands, and busy guy. Faith is not what you believe, it's what you do with what you believe. Meditate on that for a little bit as you meditate on that scripture, 1 John 5:14 through 15. If we ask anything according to His will, He hears us. And that's a really big, good word for this big Thursday. All right, John, if you are listening in, now would be a good time to log in, because Ed will be here top of the hour. Okay? All right. So we move the zones around. These are this week's zones on the S&P 500 E-mini. We currently do zones. We've always done the ES, always done the Dow. And the others, we've switched them in and out as people request. We're currently doing the Russell, Crude, and Gold, along with the S&P and the Dow. Last night, we got the alert out at 8:15 Eastern. So that's going to be, since these are 30-minute candles, it went out at 20:15, so I need to go with 20:30. That's this guy right here. Okay. And the email that went out said to consider buying 25.75. We made it to 76. That was good for a whopping 1 point or a stop out. And that's a shame on a big day. Now, we could get another run at it. As we know, important prices, important areas are almost always tested. And so again, buy 25.75. And the swing high was 76. On the sell side, we said if you get the chance, consider selling 25.69. That chance was given. Right about here. $25.69. And the low, $25.62.25. Even if we called it 63, well, it's 6.75. That's the ticket. So an opportunity to make up for a stop out if you took one on the long trade. Look how this thing came right up to the trigger and rolled down. But this is the long path, not the short path. Jim asks, he's referring to the good word for the day. What is his will? You know, Jim, his will is the same for all believers, but the really important part is he has an individual will, plan, and purpose for your life, and the only way you can find that out is to spend time with him in prayer. He will reveal. If you ask, he will reveal. If you come before him with a broken and contrite spirit, you may not hear the sound of Charlton Heston's voice, but something will happen in your life, in your heart. You'll see it, and it will be unmistakably the fingerprints of God all over it. Try it. It really does work. Alright. Still no sign of John. Maybe he's hanging back so we can talk to Ed. Maybe that's it. Gary shares from the audience 1 Thessalonians 5:18. In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you. What a great scriptural reference, Gary. Again, 1 Thessalonians 5:18. In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus. Amen to that. Okay, so that was the S&P. Let's go take a peek at the Dow, the YM. There we are. Can I get a screen change? Why, yes. Yes, I can. All right. Last night's alert said to consider buying 23,415. Swing high 23,414. No trigger. On the short side, consider selling 23,330 if you get the opportunity. Okay. And we got a drop to 393, so that would be 37 points. The Dow doesn't do ticks, just points, and it pays $5 per point. Did I say 37? I did. Okay. So 37 points, $5 a point. Over here we caught a drop to 89. So that would be 41. And it looks like on the long side we may be getting ready to trigger that. Again, the number emailed out last night was 23,415. Really? Okay. Okie doke. We'll see what happens with that. Looking for John. John's not here, man. Ed will be in just a moment. Okay, so after the Dow, jump to the Russell. Not exactly jumping, but we got there. On the Russell, we said to consider buying 1498. $14.98, and we put in a high at 1501.6. So at $10 a tick, that would be $360 per contract available. And sell side never triggered, down at 1482. Looks like it touched it. Nope, the low is 1482.20. Oh, yes, Fuad, you're correct. I'm sorry, folks. It's $5 a tick. How could I forget that? So that number changes to 180. It used to pay $10 a tick. And then somebody thought they had a better idea, and they whacked it to 5. So it pays $50 a point, 10 ticks to a point. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for reminding me of that. Let's see what we got in bonds. Okay. 2330 or 2030. Oh, that's going to be that doji right there. Right there. Okay, bonds again. If you're new to futures trading, I don't recommend that as a starting point. I know it looks attractive because it pays $31.25 per tick. A 1 point move is worth $1,000. 32 ticks times $31.25 per tick is $1,000. All right. Last night's email alert said to consider selling 152.17. So we got no trigger there. And it said if you get the opportunity, consider buying 153.13. And we seem to be kind of hanging out in that area. We did make it through. 153.13, swing high up at 22. So that's 9 ticks at 31.25 per tick. If you're running a 30-minute chart, it might have just been a walk away. On a smaller time frame, you might have found a suitable entry. Moving on to crude, although moving is not exactly what crude's doing right now. Man, so quiet. And we have a 54.25, 54.20. That's this week's zone. I didn't put the Dow zones on, or the Russell. I need to do that. Oh no, that's not right. It's 54.10, 15. Okay. Last night, we hopefully said, if you can buy 54.40, give it a whack. And what do we get? We got a swing high of 47. Now what we were looking for. On the short side for crude, we were looking to sell 53.50 given the opportunity. Quiet, sideways action. And Mr. Ed Corey is on deck, so let me turn on his mic. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ed Corey. Welcome to the show, Ed.
Hey, Dwayne, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. We missed you last time.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
That's okay, man. Life happens. I understand.
It does continue to go on, hopefully, forever, right? Forever part I'm interested in.
Yeah. The whole eternity thing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it's been definitely an interesting market this year. It continues to stay the course for most things. It's pretty amazing.
What are your thoughts on Bitcoin hitting $7,000?
Well, it's a good question. I'd like to speak from authority, but I really can't. But I can speak technically. It's mega bullish. I don't understand the fundamentals enough that I committed myself to learn about it a couple months ago. All I needed to do was go in and buy it, and I didn't do it. So I'm sitting here watching it, and I'm not going to watch it much longer. So maybe we'll put in a temporary top soon. I'm waiting for some kind of pullback, but there's no reason when the market's in a runaway bull market and you want to get in. Some things that have helped me in this are, being patient and waiting for my time. But if you're patient in this market, you better be willing to buy the day it drops 20 or 30%, because those have been the good buys in it from what I can see, Blaine. I think.
What was it, a month ago we got to pull back to like 3,100?
Yeah, I was gonna, if that's when I really wanted to buy it, and I didn't have anything set up to do so. And, the whole wallet thing and really where you should store it, move it to and all that. I just have to tell you, I haven't become versed on that.
Check out myetherwallet.com. Now that's an online type of wallet, but while you do need an online wallet to make transactions, you might consider a piece of software or hardware that you can buy at Walmart. It is a cryptocurrency storage device, so that when you buy it, you move it offline into your little, it's like kind of an external hard drive, and then you put that drive in the safe and nobody can hack it because it's not online.
So it's basically, that's the only place it is on your little flash drive.
That's it.
Wherever you got it.
Or the little scrap of paper where you wrote down your private key. And if you lose that private key, which is about a zillion characters, you've lost it all, baby.
Well, you know, like when I want to, what I've found helps me when I'm looking at something that's pretty wild, you know, and that I don't understand. You know, my track record initially was pretty bad on that stuff because, you know, it's hard to not get caught up in the emotions when the market's moving so fast. And it's not a thing, I would definitely say it's not a thing of greed, but it's more of a thing of fear. And it's really hard to make money when fear's driving when fear has a trump card in your decision making. Yep. It becomes a real problem. Mm-hmm. So to dispel that, you know, what I've done and some of the wild stuff that I've gotten invested in is I would just start very small. It's the only way I could control my risk, where I could just sit there and say, well, if it goes away, it goes away. But at least I got my toe in the door. And I think that's the only, you know, I'm not speaking from an experienced cryptocurrency trader. I'm speaking from the concept of that keeps me from letting fear do anything to me, and I have time to sit and watch something and learn how it works. Because I don't know about you, Dwayne, but until you put your money on the line, even if it's just a little money,
yep,
your brain catches on to that, and you have a super recognition of what's going on there that you would not have if you didn't own it. That's the only way I could say it. And so you can learn better in those environments by being able to hang in, knowing you're getting into something that's highly volatile. I personally think, you know, when I read the charts, and I do look at the charts on this, I've started to look at, I've finally been able to get it on CQG.
Oh, really?
I think, yeah, and
well, the CME's coming out with a futures contract.
Who is?
The Chicago Mercantile Exchange.
Yeah, that's the one that I've got, but it's like I don't think it's a futures contract, but I think it's just a tracking index right now.
Yeah, it's just a tracking index now, but supposedly they're going to roll out a futures contract.
I hope they do, because that's probably one of the reasons there's so much anticipation, I think, in the market that it's going to become available to an easier way to trade it. And those of us that are speculators that aren't necessarily looking to hide anything we do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, this isn't just for, you know,
market.
This isn't just for thugs and the guys buying drugs on Silk Road.
That's right. Contrary to what we might read about.
Right.
You know, it's about dismantling the power of the financial banks.
Can you see my screen?
I sure can.
Yeah, so this is
yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
CryptoDailyInfo.com. It's not ready for public dissemination. It's still in beta, but it's a pretty good little website once it's completed. So yeah, might want to just homepage that baby.
Yeah.
And it's got everything. Oh, and any potential advertisers out there, we've reserved a space for you. We don't do that on CFRN, but I thought, you know what, on this one, we're going to do it. And it's got a couple of little widgets like this one, which tracks 214 different cryptocurrencies. And of course, you know, if you're interested in one, you can click in, get closer look-see.
So if you, so those of those 214, Dwayne, are those like what gets the currency into that list? Is that like
That's,
things that are up and coming?
well, right now we're looking at the top gainers,
Uh-huh.
but we can drop this down. We can go to top
Cool.
losers. Let's see who put in a new all-time high today. Well, it's all Bitcoin, 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 Bitcoin. So here's something different. FAIR, fair. It closed at 1.02315. I'm thinking this must be Litecoin versus the US dollar, 41 bucks. Okay. And then you can go to new monthly high, most volatile, overbought, oversold. And be careful with the overbought, oversold thing, guys, because something can stay overbought and oversold for an awfully long time. Some would say that the S&P, all the markets have been overbought for a very long time.
Yeah.
So keep in mind that the website is in beta. It hasn't been officially launched, but it will be very shortly. If you have any comments, any thoughts, any ideas, any news stories, news at cryptodailyinfo.com.
That's
And
great.
I'm going to put a link in the chat box for you, and you can check it out after the show.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I think on
so
that link I gave you, be sure to listen. You'll hear some piano music kick in, and
yeah,
you'll hear some
listen to the
talking.
music.
If you scroll down, you'll see who's talking, and you'll probably be pretty impressed. Now, Fuad had a good question. What would be the natural or synthetic hedge for a long position on Bitcoin?
Well,
Do you, I mean, how is this affecting the price of gold? Is it?
well, I think it is. I think it's not significantly yet, but I think it's definitely taken away some of the money that was going for reasons of
yeah.
panic.
Fuad also says that a close friend of his was an original investor in a Bitcoin mining outfit in Jakarta, Indonesia. If you like, I can connect the two of you. Absolutely, Fuad. Please give him my email address, support@cfrn.net. And I would very much like to have him come on the show and do a little interview and share as much as he can and is willing to share. Thank you very much for that. I do appreciate it.
You know, that's one of the things, Dwayne, that that's caused some stocks to explode, like Nvidia, because they have the best cards.
Yep.
Enable people to do that efficiently. But how do you? That would really be an interesting interview. I'd just like to learn about it. I'd like to learn how that's done. There is some work involved in it, obviously.
On that link I gave you, down at the bottom, you'll see the education section,
Okay.
where it really spells it out in just kind of plain English, which is what I needed. I needed it on a 5th grade reading level, and so that's what I tried to put there.
Well, I was at my cousin's house a couple of weeks ago. Bitcoin, he would never really. He's very ultra conservative.
You know what?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he's long.
He's not long, but he's always. He doesn't. He knows a little bit about the futures market to know it's dangerous. So, he's super conservative. And I showed him when I got that thing on my CQG. I said, they just put it up on there. I just happened to call them. They said, well, we just got it up. I said, oh, wow, great. So I showed it to him and I said, look, I said, you got full faith and trust in paper currencies, because I know how he's invested.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you understand the features about diversification, and I can tell you diversification personally is way overused. Most people use it and it's really popular in the brokerage firms to get everybody. We're going to reduce your risk by causing diversity. You need to get more diversified, but that creates more commissions for them because you're in more investments that require watching and trading and more things that can give them opportunities. And it's really not normally. I think too much diversification gives you mediocre results because you want to be able to, I think, focus on the things that are really trending solidly and hard. Some of these things are very obvious. The tech move that's been going on in the tech stocks is really obvious, and that's a really powerful trend, and anything can be stopped. I mean, we can have an emergency and a war, and we could have stuff that happens that takes the markets down. But the trends are in place for a reason right now, and I think you don't want to be in so many things that you can't focus on what you're managing and controlling. Now, I've found it better for me that I can make more money if I just concentrate on 5 to 10 issues. And I like 5 more than 10 just because that's the way I've been able to make my money. So it really doesn't matter if someone comes and tells me, well, you need to get more diversified. And I could tell them, well, you need to be more flexible and be able to move when things happen. And to me, and it's an individual thing, but I'm just saying for me, I don't like getting distracted by having too many cards on the table at once.
Right. Bitcoin
warrants my attention right now because it, no matter what you say, it's in a solid uptrend, and there's some, I think, golden nuggets in there in the smaller cryptocurrencies. I'm just not adept enough yet to know which ones they are. So I think that's worth some money to people, Dwayne, to advise people on which of those smaller currencies they should get in, the cryptos.
That link I gave you, open a tab and just type it in and just watch the first, I don't know, 5 or 10 seconds.
Right now?
Yeah, go ahead. And then I'll give you the charts.
Let me see if it opens.
Oh, I'd love them.
Just click on your link, right? I'll have to paste it in.
Did it come through as a link?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Well, it says ChristianTraders.com. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So,
yeah, that's probably the part that we were keeping quiet, but that's okay.
I'm sorry.
Because
there's a lot more that goes with it, right? That wasn't total.
Yeah. Well, it's just that it's not complete, and a lot of the numbers in there are wrong, dates are wrong, because we had planned for something much.
It won't open on my thing right here, and I don't know it's because I'm.
Well, that's very strange.
But my computer's pretty tight up. It's got 3 trading platforms running on it, and it doesn't let too many other things go. So I don't think it's letting me open it. I could type it into Explorer.
I just got. Yeah, go ahead if you want to. I just got the security certificate, so it's HTTPS now instead of HTTP. I thought it warranted that, given the nature of it all. So, anyway, it's no big deal. You can certainly take a look at it later. And again, guys, the dates, the amounts, they're off. That's why I haven't talked about it, because I've got to get that correct before we do a press release. Oh, that's no big deal. We went over it with the guys in the partners meeting last week because they wanted to see it, but I said, I'm telling you, the dates are wrong, the amounts are wrong. That was early pre-planning. That was like whatever comes before alpha.
It sounds to me like you're pretty anxious to get this out, Dwayne, so we won't have to wait too long for that. Yeah, that's pretty nifty. I liked your introduction there.
Do you like the spin?
Uh-huh.
The music?
Cool.
Yeah, goosebumps?
I think you sent me a link to that, and I went to
I probably did.
Maybe a week or two ago when you sent it to me.
Joan asks a very good question. Today may not be the appropriate venue for this question. No, it's perfect, Joan. But how do we protect our personal CPUs from outside coin mining? Is this a real issue? Yeah, it's a real issue, and even Showtime got busted. If you were using your computer or tablet or something to watch anything, any programming on Showtime, they were going in there and using whatever spare CPU power you had to mine cryptocurrency for themselves, not for you. Now, I published an article the other day, but let me give you in a nutshell if I can. Here we go. This is what I'm looking for. How to stop sites from borrowing your CPU to mine cryptocurrency. Pirate Bay, some of you know who that is. It's run by that fellow .com, something.com. Pirate Bay was caught running a cryptocurrency miner on its website, quietly hijacking visitors' computing resources to stack Monero coins. Pirate Bay has confessed to its sins on its official blog, claiming the JavaScript mining implementation was only a test as part of their efforts to get rid of all the ads clustered on the site. We also need enough money to keep the site running. Well, I like that honest answer. If you're using the Chrome browser, okay, Google miner block, one word, or no, you know what, I'll just put these links in the chat box. That's what I'll do, so that everybody
really gotten up to speed on this in a hurry, because we talked about it a couple months ago, and I was mentioned to you I was going to have to get into it because it's moving too much, and you did better than me. You got into it already, so good for you. That's great.
Well, I want to get everybody.
Well,
Okay, those two links, guys, one takes you to miner block, the other takes you to no coin. What's especially handy is that, similar to an ad blocker, you can choose to remove certain sites from your list of blocked domains in case you want to deliberately lend your CPU for usage. One thing to keep in mind when making the decision whether or not to get one of these extensions is that crypto miners like CoinHive, the solution implemented by the Pirate Bay, is that they are hard to spot by users until, of course, you start noticing the sharp increase in CPU usage. So on a Windows computer, you just hit Control-Alt-Delete. You open up, I'll show you.
So it'll show up in the task menu, huh?
It should pop right up and say, what do you want to do? Everything just went dark. That's
I'm old school.
we've had one for years. I just never go to processes. Is that where it shows your CPU usage? No, performance. Maybe that's it.
There it is. Look at that.
Okay, so CPU usage right now is at 45%, 48, 39. Now, I got a lot of stuff going on. We're doing radio. I got my charts running. I got the GoToWebinar running. I have a number of tabs open. Dad, do you know how many tabs you got open? No, I haven't counted them. 37. Okay. So you can always keep an eye on this, and if you see sharp spikes, figure out what your average number is, and if it spikes really high, you can figure that something's up. It may not be a crypto hack, but it could just be some plain old hacker. Joan says, I read some of the blockers download malware or miners themselves. Joan, I wouldn't put it past them. Now, the information that I just gave was from TNW, thenextweb.com, and it does seem to come very highly recommended. This article has been shared 1,300 times. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I will also put the link in the chat box to the page where I grabbed those two links from. And you can go out on the internet and, just, is miner block safe? Is no coin safe? And see what, kind of user reviews, people who've actually used it, what they have to say. And my gosh, I had to let time run away. Let me give you the charts. Okay, buddy, they're all yours. Got them?
Yeah, I'm almost there. You tell me if I got them.
You got them.
Okay. Good. Let me just jump to Bitcoin and take a look at this thing. Since we're talking about it, I don't know if how close you're following it, Dwayne, but
pretty close.
Good. That means you're in it. Let's see. Come on here. It is not. This isn't Bitcoin. I'm trying to get my screen to cooperate with me here.
I can't.
Oh man, I can't get to the.
As soon as they started that tracking index at the CME, I tried to bring it up on my platform without any luck. Sorry to say.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to just put the symbol in here. I can remember that crazy symbol. It's a BT something.
Well,
it's
there's
the CME symbol.
I think it's BTC.
Yeah, no, it's a different one. It's BTFI or something like that.
Oh, okay.
I think that's a CME. I've got the Globex.
Okay, the CME Bitcoin real-time index. This is from the CME site. The reference rate is BRR, and the real-time index is BRTI.
BRTI. Okay, let's see.
And this is really big news. CME Group will launch Bitcoin futures based on the CME CF Bitcoin reference rate in the fourth quarter of 2017, building off of the success of the BRR index and demand for a regulated trading venue for the digital asset market. Man,
that's what this is all about.
This is huge.
This market looks like this.
This is absolutely huge.
Yeah. That's what they're building into the price right now. That's got to be why it's exploded. It's just looking for reasons to explode. That exposes so much more money to the market. There's only so many Bitcoins, right? They're limited number of Bitcoins, I believe.
The entire cryptocurrency market capitalization is 172 billion. Bitcoin represents 54% of that, or $94 billion.
Right. So when people come out like the bankers and say this is a fraud and it's going to crash.
Man, while he was making that statement and causing the price of Bitcoin to decline, his employees, his traders were buying the dip.
Right.
But he's Jamie Dimon. He can do whatever he wants. He'll just pay another fine.
Yeah. That's what's kind of, I don't like the Federal Reserve people talking all the time. They talk, I don't know how many times a week, dozens of times. What are they doing? When you sit down and think about it, can you really have a FOMC board of 15 people determining what's right for the economy of billions of people in the world? Can we have these guys sitting at a table that they know so much about what's going on in the economies of the different countries in the world that they say they're just ours, but the central bankers seem to go together on what they determine to do. They all seem to have the advance notice of what's going on and what they're going to say. The problem is they can really lose control of the whole thing if Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies give an avenue for people to store their wealth outside of a paper currency.
Well, we got a new Fed head coming, so I don't know if he's pro crypto or not. Really doesn't matter at this point who's pro and who isn't, because some big names have slammed it and it's continued to grow in spite of them.
Right. You can bet they are getting it in their own portfolio.
And people like Peter Thiel have said people have just completely underestimated this. So yeah, okay. So when you look at the chart on this, I mean, yeah, because Joan had a question. I don't think we ever answered her question.
Oh, what was it? You probably is it?
I gotta find my chat box. Okay, she asked. Hang on. How'd I lose that? Joan, I know your question's in here. I must have accidentally deleted it. Can you type it back in again, Joan? Copy and paste it or something? Actually, she said we answered it. Okay. So, all right, go ahead with what you were saying. I'm sorry.
Now, I got to ask people a question on this. I mean, when you look at a chart like this, you can normally say, in normal terms, well, that, and someone comes to you and says, this market's getting ready to explode to the upside, and you look at it and you say, if you're a technician, well, it's trending up, but I'm not getting in here. You look at it and you say immediately that this market has already exploded up. This market has already exploded up. Does that mean it's going to crash? Absolutely, positively, no. This chart, when charts go like this, there's so much flow of money into this vehicle, whatever it might be, and in this case it's Bitcoin, that the price has to go up if there's a limited quantity of it. And
well, that's the thing. Originally there was a limit, but I guess there's these different forks and whatever. So unlike our coin, which will have, we minted 1 million coins. That's it. No more. 1 million. So there will be limited supply. Now, I mean, a lot of these cryptocurrencies, especially some of the smaller ones, they're like Carl Sagan coins, because there's billions and billions and billions of coins. And that's called dilution, folks, and it's not a good thing. So
right, exactly.
But
this thing is the name. It's got the money coming into it. Everybody says, this is the one to be in. There's got to be some others that have learned from what they've done that are good value currencies right now. This thing's going to go higher because it's probably the only one with enough liquidity to keep on.
Built,
it's got the name recognition for the whole space.
We built on the Ethereum blockchain, not the Bitcoin blockchain.
Which is much more efficient.
Yeah, it's more efficient. It serves more purposes than just a storehouse of value. It seems that banks and financial institutions have shown favor to it. because it's not just money sitting in a vault. It's a technology and a tool that they can use to be more efficient and in their day-to-day operations.
Right.
So it's
Well, here's why it's worth looking at, Dwayne, the whole space. And it's easy to go back and look at this now, right? But the thing opened at 5 cents per coin. 5 cents. And now it's here. So what did you have to risk at that if you put $1,000 in it, or $100 even? Whatever.
If you put $100 in, you've got well over $70 million.
Right. So, and are all the currencies, or is this going to be the norm for the currencies? Probably not, because this one has the name recognition, it's got the capital flowing into it, and it's got people's comfort level that it continue to do this. So the figure, they only have to be right for a month.
And as price climbs, people are going to look for alternatives.
Right. Of course, you can buy a fraction of a Bitcoin, right? You can buy $100.
You can.
Which would give you a fraction of a Bitcoin for the little guys that want to get in, like me.
Yeah, well,
I wouldn't throw too much money into this, but I'll guarantee you I'll be able to trade it and learn a lot more about it when I put some money into this market. And it'll teach me things, and I'll see things in my charts that I don't even see today. So I know that's the best way for me to learn. I know this thing is in wave 3 up on just about any chart you want to look at. The daily's counting a 5th wave, but it's not truly the count. This is still a 3rd wave here. I'll explain that another time. But even though the software is fooled by it, it's wrong, because it's not the right number of bars across my screen to give it the statistical preference that I need to be confident in. So to me, as an engineer, I like to do my statistics that show me the edges, that the things I use or think have an edge really do have it. Because markets change, they go through cycles, they go through times just like this where there's just not, they're crazy to the upside or crazy to the downside. The downside, can be even more volatile than the upside in the commodity markets, for sure. And I can tell that because when I run my projections off my algorithm of where I think the market should go from a scientific standpoint, and using physics basically is what I use, and the market exceeds or goes below that, the way I can tell how good my stuff is whether I use a correlation factor to determine how predictive it is, and then on top of that I need to use standard deviations, which is the variance around the mean of that projection, and that gives me the confidence level to know the market should be 68% plus or minus. It should be plus or minus one standard deviation. Will normally, this is a perfect market, and these markets aren't perfect, but it's still significant enough to give you an edge. If I go plus or minus one standard deviation above my projection, I have a 68% chance that the high is going to fall within that range. That may not sound like much, but markets, when I go to 1.5, I can get an 86% probability, and when I go to 2, I get a 95% probability that this is where the market should be. And that way I can prove or disprove my algorithm and make changes to it if I need to, and build even some AI into it that uses the statistical measurements that keep it on track. Now, nothing's perfect and nothing's going to stay on track. The markets are made eventually to disprove things, but this is the only thing I've found that's been very consistent for me. So I'm staying on the horse as long as I can with it.
Well, there's another gold rush associated with it. When I bought the domain cryptodailyinfo.com, I of course looked at other names like Crypto World, and I even showed the audience. It's probably been a month ago. CryptoWorld.com was up for sale. It was just a domain. That's all you were buying is the domain. CryptoWorld.com. It was going for $30,000, $29,000 and change. So I had to pass on that one. Look at what it's selling for today.
That's like a Bitcoin.
$194,888.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's probably worth spending some time sitting in a closed up closet trying to think of names that might be attractive, huh? That would probably be some pretty good.
There's not really
much left, I'm sure.
I mean, the fact that what was the other one? Crypto Times was for sale for, I think, 20,000. You know, like New York Times.
Yeah.
So somebody apparently paid that. So let's see, what other ones did I can't remember, but I showed the audience one that was 10,000, one that was 20,000, and one that was 30,000. And when I spoke to my domain registrar later that day, the lady on the phone, she goes, "Oh my God," she goes, "I don't believe this." I go, "Believe what?" She says, "You got CryptoDailyInfo.com for $8." She goes, "No, nobody else thought of that because they bought everything. You know, like there's probably even somebody with crypto underwear. I don't know, but." That was the thing I'd been using on Facebook, so I tapped it in, and it said available. $8.
Wow.
$8.
When did you do that?
Pay the lady about a month ago.
Wow. Wow. That's great.
So we've
Now,
watched.
Wasn't that worth your time, huh?
Yeah, it was a good day, big day. So we've seen Crypto World in the last 30 days, just the domain, go from 30,000 to 194,000. Oh my. Yep.
Oh my, it's right. You caught it just at the right time. You know, and that's the question here. When you look at this thing at $7,000.
And that's a pretty good name, Crypto Daily Info.
Well,
I mean,
yes.
yeah, I think so.
Honestly, somebody thought it was, huh? For sure.
Oh, Richard said he has to leave in 10 minutes. Is there any way you could comment on the S&P first?
Yeah. For Rich, yes.
And Jim warns everybody, the peak oil people, 8 years ago, crude oil was 147 a barrel, soon to be 300, all but guaranteed, only to go to $26 last year. Where are the peak oil people now? Where will the Bitcoin people be a few years from now? That's a great question, Jim. You know,
Yep.
some
That
very respectable people are talking 50,000, 500,000, even $1 million. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard to imagine in what world, but every day my opening line of late when I start the show is, well, Bitcoin put in a new all-time high today. So,
Well,
right.
think about this. Think about this way. You got these guys out there mining Bitcoin, right? And there's some difficulty to it, and they can't just create it, right? They
No,
have
the
to
longer, the more time that passes, the more difficult the equation you have to solve becomes. But I mean, there's huge industries, you know, buying server farms and putting them in Iceland so they can keep the computers cool by just opening the door. Because the biggest expense appears to be electricity.
in
Yes.
Iceland, right?
I don't know if it's free, but you don't need to keep the computers cool because it's cold. Like I say, just
Right.
open the door, you know.
Right.
Here, let me
Well, I
make
think
your
they do
S&P.
have that.
Let me make your let me let you make your S&P comments for Rich.
Okay.
All right.
The S&P is still in its third wave up on the monthly chart. That third wave began at 1068, and it's still there. So this is wave 3. There's your 1068.
Mm-hmm.
It still has the markings. It still could be called from here a third wave within this range. I can't get the proper amount of it there. But within that third wave, we are in wave 5 up, shown on the weekly chart. But when I go back to the daily chart, it re-entered wave 3. So the problem is, it's not really a problem if you're a bull. It's only a problem if you're out or you're afraid to, buy it up here. I think this. I think the stock market could drop. The S&P would have no trouble dropping 400 to 500 points on this thing, on the S&P, and not break trend.
Right.
It would be a good buy. Now, if you're not in the market, it's much more difficult to know what to do up here. If you are in it and you're really happy with what you've got, there's nothing wrong with taking profits when you start to get nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let me welcome John to the show. John, I just opened your mic up.
Hello.
Hey, John.
Hi there, Ed. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I've been listening.
Well, I kept looking over there, and then all of a sudden I lost my train. Anyway, I remembered and spotted you.
I didn't want to go barge in.
Oh, that's okay. No, I'm just glad to have you with us.
Thanks.
Yeah. I'm gonna just run through this real quick.
Okay, buddy.
Because I've been running.
I know you're stretched for time.
This thing is so bullish. Okay, I'm very bullish on the market. You have to recognize there's an overflow of funds coming into our market here that won't allow us to have a normal correction for years. Okay, this is not normal at all. But but you might say, well, it is normal if you've got a limited amount of stock being bought by an unlimited amount of capital that seems to be flowing into our market no matter what happens. Okay, I'm currency neutral here.
Mm-hmm.
This is not currency neutral. The index, of course, is in U.S. dollars. So, but just talking currency neutral here, not playing any fact of the currencies. I do believe there's a solid amount of money that's being pushed into our market in a crazy way here that we cannot. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get this thing down here. Jimmy, I have to leave my alerts on, or you can't hear me. I can't hear.
Gotcha.
Let me turn them down. So we've got, again, this is kind of like a Bitcoin thing, only on a smaller scale. The market's telling us there's a lot of capital that wants to come in here, more so than the sellers want to sell. So it just keeps crawling around. And look what it does. I mean, we've gone sideways so many times in here, and it's hard for the market to give us a 100-point correction on the S&P.
Yep.
There's no way somebody can tell me the market's overbought. I don't really care what somebody says about the overbought here. I care about what the market's telling. The market's in such a strong uptrend that I'd have to be a fool to not recognize that. I've counted the fifth wave up on this thing so many times that has re-entered wave 3 because it's blown the wave count. You can't have a wave 5 longer than a wave 3. So, and that's what's been happening. We get these little dipsy doodle corrections, come back down here, and then we turn around and go back up, and lo and behold, what we thought was a fifth wave goes back into the third wave because we've gone too far in what was counted as a fifth wave. And so that's what we've been doing for years. Okay, so for me to sit here and say I've got a static Elliott wave count that I'm going to let me try and pick the top in the market is foolish. Now, if I get divergences on oscillators and I start to get other time frames showing me this could be a top, fine. I'll recognize that. I used to trade that stuff on the S&P. I don't do it anymore because I don't like losing money. I'm not here to lose money. I'm not here to necessarily be right when you're writing a weekly newsletter, it makes it a little more difficult to stay unbiased because you think about what you wrote during the prior week. And, you eat crow when you try and pick tops or bottoms and stuff like that. That's okay. The market tells me anyway by how far it's going to correct. And until I see a correction that goes through what I would consider a significant 618, I'm just going to consider it a buying opportunity on this market. And one day it's going to crash, and people are going to say, oh, look at that, we should have done this. Oh, look at that, we should have done this. The people that say that aren't the guys that have been around very long. Okay, they are not the guys that have been around very long, because they would be broke many times over trying to pick the top in this market. Now, there's a lot of people that are interested when it's going to crash, but I'll tell you, it's just a distraction, and it's a fear distraction that we all know there are things that can make the market crash. All you've got to do is pull the buying out from under the market and scare people. And that has to be something really of big magnitude for that to happen, which may happen someday, probably will, but this thing might be double, triple, quadruple this price before it happens. It might. The trend is up until it changes. So I beat that to death here. So I think this market, and I look at the daily chart, is not finished to the upside. It would have to do some pretty good damage to the downside to even make me start to think about doing something with it. And let's see. Here's what I said last week on it. The S&P 500 made new record highs again last week as some form of tax reform appears more likely either this year or early next year. Current intraday wave counts are as follows. Targets for the current intraday wave counts are 2590, 2599, 2619, 2634. We haven't got there yet, but I think we got to 2480. I'm sorry, 2580. So in looking at that, although we could see a pullback at any time, still look good. Things still look good for higher numbers, provided the key support range is not closed under first. And my key support range right now is down at 2517 to 2540. I wouldn't want to see it close under 2517, or then I might consider. That's the first time I'd start to consider looking at into other avenues that might justify me hedging part of my position or taking some profits. But I'm not even going to think about it until then. And I said I'm not letting the FOMC concern me, as the real focus is higher GDP from tax cuts. That's, you have to make a stand at some point. You have to manage your own risk and everybody knows their own capital situation. If you feel like you're taking too much risk, you may well be, if you think you have to use something pretty quick and have it available to you. But, taking risk in this market has paid off for how many years in a row?
Yep.
How many years in a row do you want to be right? So on the S&P, my count on the S&P is no change. This is kind of stuff I've been writing for a couple of years. Here's the numbers; they never get taken out. To make me start to think. And that doesn't mean I'm going to do anything. So on the WTI market, let me drop this out of here. I'm going to cover crude, and then I'm going to jump, Dwayne. When I look at the crude oil market, it's in wave 5 up. And this too, this is the 5th wave, right? So if we look at the 5th wave up, this is the bottom of wave 4, so that's the beginning of wave 5. And if we look at wave 5 coming up here like this, and take a little bigger cut at it and say, this is counting it as a 5th wave, but more than likely, in this 5th wave, you can see the 3rd wave here is just from here to here. The software hasn't recognized it yet, but this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's calling this the 5th wave up. But when I look at this from 4 to 5, it looks to me, this is 47 on the length of the of the third wave current, the way it's counting, it was $47 to 52.86. So it's $5.86, right? 47 was the low to 52.86. So that's $5.86. So if I put $5.86 on the 49.10, I get 54.96. We did exceed that, but the software hasn't changed yet. So there's something else that it's looking at that it wasn't willing to change us back to the third wave. See, this is starting to look like it's marginal here whether it turns into the third wave back up. But if it does, then we're going to go up on WTI to the $58 to $62 range. More than likely, those will be the targets for the real wave 5. But this will launch back into the third wave of the fifth wave up. Okay, this will end up being a wave 1. This will be called wave 2. This will be back into wave 3, which means we got room to the upside, folks. So we're right at a pivotal level. This is also a fractal from going back here on the charts. The 55.24 is the highest point we've been at since rallying from 26.05 in January of 2016. That was the low. The high point was 55.24, and we've gotten to 55.22 so far. So they hit it in front of the number. But it looks to me like, when I go back and look at it, on the 400-minute chart, I have got to say, this is the move up from $47. When it's dissected, it's showing this still to be in a third wave up, potentially moving back to the 0 line here, which will give me a minimum retracement for the wave 4, and then coming back up again. But if I break this down even more, the market just looks third wave, third wave, third wave. So it's very highly likely we have not seen the top here. It's very highly likely the 55.24 fractal, which was the high over the last year and a half, is going to get taken out. And when it does, you know, if this was a normal fourth wave, we may still correct a little more here, because some people are looking at that as a double top. They'll get blown away, and they'll help propel the market when they cover their shorts up here. That's my guess. Somewhere between 56 and 57 and change. And I think that's pretty highly likely to happen. And I've been at that opinion too, and I'm going to read this and I'm going to get out of here. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I
Last
understand. You've been here longer than you had originally said you could.
Last week, both WTI and Brent prices broke over their weekly buy signals and gained an additional $1.82 and $2.10. That was from last week that we had buy signals on this thing, and they pushed it on up. More impressive was the fact that energy prices were able to do this as the dollar index had one of its strongest weeks of 2017. We had a really strong week in the dollar index last week, and that's normally suppressive of crude prices, yet this thing ignored it because the fundamentals are tightening up right now, and people are surprised. We had an initial lot of hedging come in when the market went above $50. The producers over here were starting to sell. The Mexicans hedged up down there at $50. And other hedgers were selling this thing short. They're the ones that have got us up here to $55 because they covered out of their shorts. Now, I think this, what I was looking at was a Brent wave count showing projections in the 6112. This is what I said last week. We weren't over, we hadn't hit, did we hit 60 last week? We might have touched it. 6112 to 6380. An important support is down in these levels for WTI and Brent. I know you can read, so I'm going to read them. Resistance is in the 55.24 to 56.50 area. That's for WTI, and 61.12 and 63.80 for Brent. Now, we didn't take out the 55.24. Like I said, that high was 55.22. But on Brent, I think we made it to 61.70 yesterday. So Brent got into our range, and the market pulled back. Now, I said see page 2 for Brent's wave counts. Please note that the current impulse up on the 85-minute count is in wave 3 up. And if Brent should close over 63.80, which I don't think is consensus at all, the 1100-minute wave count, which is the dominant count, would likely reset back into wave 3 up and target higher numbers in the $66 to $72 range in Brent. Okay, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm saying if it does, go back into that third wave. So I try to identify the points where it would do this in advance. So it gives you an idea and a framework in your mind. 95. Oh, God, you know, those kind of things, just the numbers are what counts. The price, nothing is more important than the price when you're trying to analyze the market and where it's at. Because that, whether you think it's right or not, it's the market. So the market's right. That's the price for today, no matter how it got there. And it took me a long time to get that mentality, because I always, you know, being a fundamental guy in the business where I came up, I always had that in the back of my mind. What, you know, I try to blend those two together. But when the gun's to my head and I have to make a decision or have to tell somebody what to do who's in trouble, I come back to the numbers. I've learned that I can trust the numbers. So if you can get your mind to the point where you can trust the numbers and the patterns that you know and recognize, those will be good because those fit you and your risk tolerance. I think that's it. I know we talked a lot about Bitcoin. I wasn't, you know, that was mainly an education part for me. But I'm going to do some, I'm starting to put my algorithm onto it, and I'm going to try and see how that works. And I think I can have a lot of fun with it as I learn. And it sounds like you got some good things there. I've been traveling a ways. John, did you say you lived in the southern part of Texas, the Rio Grande Valley?
Johnny, still there? Oh, he must have had to take a phone call.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
John, did you say you lived in the southern part of the Rio Grande Valley?
That's right. Yeah.
I was down there. I just didn't have. I thought I might call Dwayne and get a hold of you, but I was just down there for a day last week, and wow.
One of these days,
it's changed a lot since I've been there.
No, it's growing leaps and bounds. It's amazing. It's
yeah, I bought a grapefruit grove down there in the 1980s in Texan Gardens, and oh man, it's another story we don't need to get into. But it's just I'll talk to you about it sometime. Anyway, if I ever get down there, I'm gonna give you a heads up. We'll have some lunch or something.
No, that'd be great. That'd be great. Unfortunately, I missed the last part of what you guys were talking about, but
well, we spent a lot of time talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general.
I'm getting, you know, as I was saying yesterday, you've got to be careful of November here. I really have a feeling that this market is living on borrowed time, just not in a longer term trend like you've been talking about, Ed. I'm with you on the same page as that.
Are you talking about the S&P, John?
Yeah, well, look at the Nasdaq in particular, and the bit, you know, it really does look toppy here today. In between yesterday and today, you know, the Dow made a new high, but we didn't get confirmation, and now the Nasdaq, look, the breadth is getting worse again. You know, exactly what we said on the radio yesterday. What we said was that Facebook kind of got a false boost, if you like, not undeservedly, but it got a boost because of the Microsoft, Google, and Amazon pop, if you like, right? So Facebook had lifted it up with that, so it had extra value built in ahead of its earnings. And what we said was there was a strong likelihood that the Facebook could sell off on the earnings, and that's exactly what happened. And we actually put out a sell at 187.75 yesterday afternoon, and at one stage it was down to 177 here this morning. It's a bit higher now, but what I think might happen today we've had a lot of volatility. If they can't get this market to rebound and we start selling off into the afternoon, that will not be a good sign. And the VIXs are getting we've got a kind of a potential bottoming situation on the VIXs, and we're creeping higher even right now as we speak. We've been down and tested the lows this morning, went slightly lower, but now we're up, and we've had a couple of stabs at the highs. But I have a feeling that we're in for a multi-$1,000 trade on the VIXs to the upside.
You can have a decent sell-off.
Yeah.
Well, John, I didn't put these charts up on it, and I just took the overall long point. But on the 1400-minute chart, I've got a fifth wave up on the breakdown of that. Subdividing that, I've got a 5 wave up on the 700-minute chart. Subdividing this move down here when we peaked down to like 4150, that too put in a fifth wave. So I can see, I didn't put those up, but we look like, I wouldn't disagree with you at all, that the fives have come in on all that. And the only thing that'll dismantle that when we get to 85, 25, 85, the only thing that would dismantle that is, like you said, if we got more of a rally here than we've seen.
Yeah, it's like yesterday. I mean, look what happened last night. We were down almost 100 at one point, and then the market kind of rallied all night. It was just amazing. And but we did get then we got the tax sell-off shakeout this morning, and then we recovered off that, and actually said we were going to have a pretty powerful rebound, which happened. But now it seems to be struggling a little bit here, and what I've noticed, which hasn't been going on for a long time, really in the last few weeks, the breadth has tended to open strong and sell off during the day, and it's gone negative again today. So there is selling going on behind the scenes, and there are some stocks getting hit pretty hard. Stocks that are really what would you call it? Widely held, very, previous
high profiles.
Previous high profile, awesome performers. And the poster boy of that is Under Armour. I mean, it's unbelievable. You see, it went from $100 down to 11. I mean, that is a huge warning sign. And then you got this Wayfair is down today, and Newell, these are sort of consumer product type issues. Not Newell, sorry, Wayfair. That actually symbol W. Apparently that's down, and there are some stocks that are taking hits. Yeah.
Well, so, the intraday wave counts wouldn't have no problem doing that. In fact, on this count, particularly, these would be the retracement levels I'd be watching on that move. And, to get to at least to the 382 to 236 retracement would be 2519 to 2540. If it does it, it's still, I think, going to be a buy, but it might scare a lot of people. It could easily go to 2500 and not break trend. So we'll have to see. The fact that all the shorter term charts, they do align with what you're saying. The intraday charts could use it right here. And I think there's a lot of stuff built into the market because of the hype on the tax reform. I also think it was justified if they were going to do it. That's the big deal, huh? But hey, I'm gonna let you guys go. I've talked too much here. Took more than my time. And John, Dwayne, I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks.
Hey Ed, thanks so much for dropping in. And as this crypto thing heats up, if you insist on coming on every Thursday instead of every other Thursday, I'll respect that.
Yeah, well,
just saying.
If we ever get into the crypto market, if I ever get into it, I don't know if I'll be able to sleep at night. So I'm a little worried about
the fact that the CME is coming out with a futures contract. Because it's so volatile, I can only imagine what the margins will be. But I guess it will be right up there with gold, silver. I think those are
be more than any of them. Dwayne.
those are yeah. It probably will, especially in the beginning, until they can really get a feel for it. You know, what's the temperature of the water, and I mean, I can easily see $5,000, you know, per contract.
Well, since you guys have been looking at it more than me, I just want you to give me a call when it's time to buy. Okay.
Well, that would have been about a year ago.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. See you guys.
All right, take care, Ed. Well, John, what's your view on the world today? Are you there, John?
Yeah, speaking of the Bitcoin,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? We might be on track to go all the way to 8750, my target. That and it could happen before, you know, between sometime into the end of November, December, or possibly as late as January. But it certainly seems on track now. It's in a kind of a runaway mode to the upside, as you were both saying.
The site is still it's between alpha and beta, John, but you can go here and just scroll down and you can bookmark this page when it loads. Right here you can get the top gainers, top losers, all-time highs, 52-week highs, all of that good stuff.
Hey, Dwayne.
Yeah.
Take the charts back. I can't get off.
Oh, man.
Up, right?
And nobody can see what I'm talking about. Okay. Okay, Ed, sorry about that. And
no problem.
Let me mute your mic, or did you already take care of that? Yeah. Looks like you did. Okay, so now I'll show my screen. There we go. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So anyway, John, if you scroll down all the way to here, God, I must have missed it. Okay, scrolling back up. Oh, right at the very top. Right at the very top. This will... I've got to go in and recode it because it launches with the NASDAQ as the first symbol, and while I do want to have the FANGs and a few others here, this is going to be the top one, BTC / USD, right here. And so you can see where we're sitting. And it is an interactive chart, so if you want to go to candlesticks, there you go. Leaving a pretty wicked wick up there. Now, what am I set on time-wise? 30 minutes. Let's take a look. Oh, there's 1 hour. I'm still trying to... I want to look at 1 day. There we go. Did it change? I'm still getting used to this. Okay, that's... Okay, today is 11/2. And is this candle 11/1? Yes. Okay, so this is a daily chart right here. So back in September... Now, it's only November 2nd, but on September 15th, we had a pullback that reached all the way down to 29.92. Call it $3,000. And we tagged $7,000 today. That's since September 15th. Unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
Based on what? Based on what? The $7,000 you put in, based on what?
No. What I'm saying is when Jamie Dimon made his comments about Bitcoin being a fraud on a daily chart. Okay, we got this pullback here. Okay, his guys bought the dip, and the pullback to 3,000 was a gift for anybody that took advantage of it, because since September 5th, they've more than doubled their money. September 15th, it's gone from $3,000 to $7,000 in 45 days, roughly. I don't know, you know, it's still hard to believe, and with each passing day, becomes even more difficult. So, anyway, that's just seems like that's what I open the show with every day now. New all-time high. I mean, this thing just can't, you know, grow to the sky. There has to, well, we had a huge correction September 15th. So, you know, between China and Diamond and all of that, and now his bank is launching their own cryptocurrency. So, anyway, what do you want to cover today?
Well, I might start with the grains, actually.
Oh, okay.
As yesterday, if you remember, I talked about, or in the last couple of days, I've been talking about catching the beans on a breakout, and mentioned that wheat was still not confirming potential bottom, but we actually got long the wheat yesterday, and we sold it up around highs this morning, and then it came back to 419. We put out another buy, and right now it's at 426. So we're particularly pleased about that, because it was a very difficult bottom to pick. The way it came back, it sort of almost, and also the beans kind of pulled back this morning. You know, it did a classic. It ran up to, you know, 999 or something last night, or 998, came back down to 993 this morning, and then around about 11 o'clock or so gave a buy, and here we are closing at 999. Unfortunately, the market's just closed, but I would be buying that, or if you haven't already bought it.
For some reason, I'm having difficulty. We're still November beans, right? ZSX.
Sorry, I went to January. I went to January.
Okay, so what symbol are you using?
It's for F, Sam Frank F.
Yeah.
18.
Okay.
And it's almost guaranteeing, well, I wouldn't say guaranteeing, but it's almost, it's certainly likely that we're in a gap higher tonight on the beans into the night session, and the wheat as well. And I think that it's probably we might get a decent overnight move, breaking up above 1,000 on the beans. Just to make, I mean, look, this has been a very tough market to trade recently. It's been up and down, and it's had a lot of false starts. But it looks like this, I mean, technically on the charts now, it looks very, very good. And the weekly, look, they've got a very, very powerful weekly reversal developing on the wheat. And I mean, these things don't come along very often, where you get a, you know, got a double bottom month over month, and then a really powerful weekly reversal. These are, you know, 9 times out of 10, you know, once in a blue moon opportunities to buy the lows of a bull market, potential bull market. And this may be, this feels like the time. I've got a feeling this cold weather that's coming in could cause a lot of damage with the crops if we get a big freeze this winter. And it might be the first time that the, you know, high yielding, very high yield that we've had over the last, you know, just, you know, since certainly the last few years, is likely to create the next bull market, which may come next year, and it could be a big one. So this is and look, you're buying wheat at the lowest price in years right now, and it wasn't so long ago wheat was at $1,000 bushel, and now it's at 426. It's pretty cheap, and you know, these things, once they get going, could really rocket out of here. And there's probably a lot of farmers who are short hedging and things like that have to cover.
Guys, you definitely need to roll forward soybeans to F18. I don't know how I missed that. 322,000 contracts traded today. So that explains why I wasn't getting any data. God, I can't believe I didn't check that. I just checked it the other day, but anyway. John, you remember, a couple weeks ago that I showed everyone what the domain crypto world was selling for?
Yeah, I heard you talking about it.
You heard me. You talk about it earlier today. I mean,
I did.
that doggone thing was on sale for $29,000. Somebody bought it, and now they're trying to flip it for $194,888.
That's insane.
I think the highest price ever paid for a domain name, and I could be wrong, but I believe it was drugs.com. And I don't remember who it was that bought it, if it was a drugstore chain or if it was a private individual, but highest price, let's see,
10 million, no?
highest price ever for a domain. Let's just see. Insurance.com went for $35.6 million. VacationRentals.com went for $35 million. PrivateJet.com, $30 million. Internet.com, $18 million. 360.com, the numbers 360.com, $17 million. Insure.com, $16 million. And of course, Sex.com has to be in there at $13 million.
Wow.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Now, it says that the most expensive domain name ever sold has come to light at $872 million. Yes, you read that right. Cars.com was valued at $872 million. Imagine the look on someone's face when they were told their domain was worth that much. While most people don't report the sale of their domains publicly, top lists vary, but as a whole, most people are in agreement with most of the highest sales reported for domain names. So, pretty crazy. I mean, beer.com fetched $7 million. Oh, my goodness. Slots.com got $5.5 million. So, anyway. Okay.
Yeah,
another little uptick in gold today, huh?
Yeah, well, it has.
And then it pulled back. Yeah.
It's had a number of false starts, but it is holding in, and the unfortunate the dust now is back to sort of where it was yesterday afternoon. So it doesn't bode very well for the gold overnight. Given that we sort of spiked up this morning, we might be in for some more trouble. But if the market, if something happens overnight that reverses it, where we get a decent, what we really need is we need a kind of a $20 or $30 move to the upside to really clean out and get the trend right. The silver's acting better. It is up over 17 and it's held up there, and the platinum's been acting better too. So, and of course the palladium is hanging in pretty well around the 990 area. So, been up over 1,000 a couple of times. The one I was just going to mention, this cocoa. It looked like we were getting going on a bull market. We ran up to 20 in the mid 21s, I think, and here we get slammed down again. It's just shows you have to have your wits about you when you're trading this stuff. And the coffee did bottom at 121 yesterday, and it was a little bit difficult around the 122, 123. What we did, I think we sold it at 123.5 and put a stop on below 123. Got to 122, and I said rebuy it at 124. It got to 127 this morning, but we're still in it right now, and looks pretty good. The sugar, another one that looked like it was going to go somewhere and didn't, and just fell apart, down from 14.18, where we had it stop around 14.7, I think, and it's down to 14.2. We're still short the sugar. We're long the orange juice right now, which sorry, is actually heading back up and looks like it might even go to a new high. On the other hand, the lumber, which looked like it was it's sort of weird because this morning it was trying to get up through 454 and it couldn't do it, and then it just broke through and it reversed, and we had to sell stuff right under the market, and it's gone limit down. And that means if you're short, this, I mean, if it opens limit down tomorrow, that would be a big move. It would be about $1,500 contract. Cotton is another one we're long from the 67s, and it's at 68. It just hit 69 this morning. Maybe the cotton has a habit of rallying at this time of the year, so it's after being beaten down quite a lot in recent months, it's probably an interesting developing trade that's unfolding. As we said a few days ago, the dust might still have one more move up in it to 32 or so, and that would knock the gold down maybe to the 1260 area or possibly a bit lower. And then I think after the 32, if it gets up there, then that might be it. If we break down on the dust from here, tomorrow perhaps, and rally in the nuggets going into the week. The trouble is that gold, GOLD, had some bad news, and we were short from it yesterday. So we've had a lot of good luck selling, being positioned or having sell stocks under stocks that we, the last thing you would have thought would gold would drop $10 overnight, but it's down a lot today, and it was around in the high 90s yesterday, and it's just around 90 right now. So this is not a good thing. Since it's a major component of the nugget, it's not a good influence on the nugget. On the other hand, the nugget is holding in quite well, considering the gold is down this much. So if we were to get an up move in gold tomorrow, that could actually be a positive. It's kind of like the way, remember we talked about the fangs being down and the market still went to a new high, and we had price line down, and the weird thing today is, which I can't kind of understand, is the drug stocks are really getting hammered pretty hard, and the LABU is holding up remarkably well. It's actually up since yesterday quite a bit. So I don't, but the drug stocks, look, we got this just like Under Armour, not as bad as Under Armour, but Celgene I think it broke 100 today, and it looks pretty bearish. Yeah, it's okay. It's gotten hammered pretty hard. So the drug stocks in general, gold is down. It just doesn't look very good for them. But look at the market. The market's almost back to positive. The Nasdaq. So it looks like it's going to be another strong finish this afternoon. The other thing is the gold. You want to be watching the gold this afternoon. Sorry, tonight, around about 9, between 8 and 10 Eastern time. If we get a dip in the gold and then we start to go up for any reason, I would take a shot at buying it, because we could be, that could indicate that we're gonna actually rally again overnight, somewhat like we did last night. And look, it's notorious. Very often before a big lift off in gold, you get these spikes, and it looks real bearish, and then next thing you know, something happens and the gold takes off, and so you have to be certainly on alert to be buying, to be ready to buy if there's any sign of strength coming into the gold.
Well, I don't know if you can see my chart right now. But these are this week's zones, and from zone to zone, it's 5 points or $500 per contract. It went once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times.
Right. Well, you see that if you know, having just seen this for the first time, just the way you displayed it, you know, what is interesting is that bottom around 1270. When you tend to get a strong move up off a bottom like that, very often it is sign of a turn. And don't forget, look, if the grains suddenly shoot higher tonight, that would be a reason for gold to start moving higher overnight. And look at, you kind of got a slightly upwarding, you know, it's an undulating type of thing, but you see it's slightly upward in terms of higher highs and higher lows. You see that?
I do.
So, yeah, and if we only need one more and sort of get above 1285, sort of towards 1290, and then, you know, this thing could be on for real. So that's what I would be looking for right now. And obviously a breakdown will be the opposite. But, you know, if you see some green bars start to develop, you know, after a sell-off or after, even if it rallies, you know, before and then pulls back tonight and then starts to go again to the upside, that's sort of where I would take a shot at it.
Okay, now what sort of a trigger number again are you looking at?
Well, what often happens on a Thursday is, especially if we do get a late rally in gold today before the close, you know, what I would look for is a pullback from about 7 to 8 or 9 at night down into some sort of a bottom. If it turns out to be a kind of a V bottom and the market starts going higher again, I'd take a shot at it on the upside.
Okay.
But it might be one you have to stay up for or put some stops in to just make sure that, you know, it's not a false rally or something.
Right. Right.
So and look, in spite of everything, I think you know, the time has come where you almost have to consider going along the VIX before the close or during the, you know, because just to have just like about a week ago, remember, I actually did this and came in about $1,000 higher per contract on 1,000 shares, and you know, it ended up having a $3,000 move upwards. But this time, if anything like that happens again, I think this time it's going to be a big one. There's going to be maybe a $10,000 move, you know, really big $10 to $20 move up, and these VIXs. There could be quite a shakeout in the market sometime between now and December and mid-December, say mid-December. And it just could come out of the blue, you know, in the same way the market rallied up last night, almost miraculously, after, you know, with Facebook being down and Tesla's, remember, very bearish on Tesla. We've been short since the highs, and we're down $20 today.
You mentioned yesterday that Facebook typically sells off on earnings, and they had a good earnings report. They added something like 500,000 new subscribers or members, whatever you call them, and just in the last quarter, 500,000 people.
Yeah, no, it's big. It's big, but the you know, what I would say is, you know, we're still getting the benefits of Amazon's driving force and Google and Microsoft to some extent, and even Facebook. You know, Facebook could come back from this just the way Netflix did. You know, Netflix sold off and then it kind of fought its way back. But what you got to be a little bit careful of, look, there's a sort of you could argue there's a little bit of a topping formation coming in on the mid cap. There's even a kind of a little head and shoulders top on the mid cap, which is potentially very dangerous. And then there's a little bit of a spike top or downward bar on the S&P, which we didn't make the new high on. And there's a spike yesterday on the Nasdaq, and today we're down on the Nasdaq still. So the danger of that, you know, that's another reason to be going along the VIX here. If the Nasdaq doesn't close positive, that is a bad sign. You definitely don't want to be too bullish on the stocks when that happens. Now, the only, you know, what has happened in this bull market a lot is it has a habit of overcoming these apparent topping formations. So that's some, so obviously if this thing gets negated and it keeps going up tomorrow, going into the end of the week, that would be a big deal. So,
Can you see my chart?
yeah.
Sunday night Globex open on the Dow, and we went from zone to zone, back up to the zone, down to the zone, consolidated, and then went back up to the zone, and then the next zone, and then we hit this zone perfectly to the tick, back down, zone to zone again, and now we're consolidating at the 23,400/405. I mean, look at these two spikes down. I mean, I'm not bragging. I'm amazed by it. Really, these numbers go out to the partners every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m.
The way you put those in every day, I mean, it's really it makes it a lot easier to analyze.
Well, that's why we send them to the partners at the beginning of the week, 6:15 a.m. Eastern, and then they're carved in stone. We don't change them, manipulate them, massage them. It's for the week.
Remember what I said about a month ago when we were looking at remember we had that long base in the S&P, and I said we're probably going to go up 100 points from here on the S&P.
Mm-hmm.
We're up more than 100 points from that. I think we were around 475 when I said that.
That was back when are you talking about like 1st of October?
Yeah. It was maybe, I can't remember, it was a month or 6 weeks ago, but it would have been late September, early October, I think.
Okay.
That's when it started.
All right. Well, I'm at late September here. Let's go down and see where price was. That's a bull zone there. Now, what price were we trading at that time?
I thought we were at 24, or maybe it was just under 25.
Well, I see a lot of basing right here at 25.08.
That was right about there. So maybe we haven't gone up 100 yet, but it feels like we have.
Well, I'll tell you, man, this overbought bull market just keeps going. It's just incredible.
One of the reasons why this bull market is so strong, which a lot of people may not realize, is there is a number of takeovers going on. There haven't been too many big ones recently, but they put a lot of cash into the market. When people get windfall payouts, large numbers, and secondly, there have been virtually no IPOs, or very, very few IPOs, and so in the same way as Bitcoin has a static number of coins out there, the market is the same. There's a fixed amount of stock out there right now, and there has been for some time. And so the volume of money is pushing the market higher. And then when you add the stimulus that's coming, the 3 trillion stimulus that's being pumped in by all these banks around the world, it is having a magical effect. I mean, look at Japan, the highest market in 22 years, up around 22,000. It's a pretty big deal. And actually, Japan is the one that most people didn't even notice has been going higher, and now they're growing at 4%, which nobody in the world has predicted. Because Japan's debt, I mean, they've got about 3 times the debt as the U.S. So even though people say you can't grow when you've got 1-to-1 debt like we have, fact is you can, because Japanese just proved it. It's taken a while to get the Japanese economy to get to that level, but the fact growing at 4%, more than 4%, is amazing.
It is also the largest Bitcoin market because of all the traders that left China and needed a place to trade. It says here China has once again become the largest Bitcoin exchange market with basically 51% market share of the global market. Analysts, including Bitfury Vice Chairman, attributed the surge in the trading volume of the Japanese Bitcoin exchange market to the exit of the Chinese traders. So, And the government, if I'm not mistaken, in Japan, I think they are going to release their own digital currency, along with Russia and along with I think some other countries as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is a phenomena that no one in this lifetime has ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And the Chicago Mercantile Exchange is coming out with a futures contract in this final quarter of the year. We don't know what margins will be. We don't know what it'll pay per tick, per point. Very limited news, but man, that may in part be playing into why there's, such a bullish rush here of late. CME, Bitcoin, press release. Because as a futures contract, goodness. Yep, I'm seeing headlines. Bitcoin shatters $7,000 barrier after futures trading announcement by CME Group. Unfortunately, in their release, they don't talk about margins, which I think will be high because it's so volatile. So it's going to be interesting. Going to be interesting.
One thing, this fits actually with my theory that we could top out between sort of late November and January, because when the CME does get that contract going, it probably get a lot of pizzazz and confidence worldwide, maybe enough to push Bitcoin up another $1,500 or so.
Well, this gives the CME putting out a futures contract totally legitimizes the whole thing,
right. Yeah.
Let's
what
see.
I was getting at is the danger. Think about this now. The CME puts out a futures contract, and all of a sudden you have a leveraged Bitcoin situation where the amount of money going in and out of this thing could be amplified pretty dramatically, right? And the other thing is that when the CME introduced an oil futures contract, it actually happened, if I remember rightly, sometime around the time when these Saudis were, it was not too long the embargo days, where the oil price got out of hand. And once, by the way, my VIX theory, I'm starting to see a bit of a rally in the VIX now. So this is why it's probably a good idea to consider going long, just as an insurance over the, late in the day, because just recently the VIX we're down in an area where we're making some sort of a bottom by the looks of it, and it may be appropriate to have this, just as an insurance policy, because too many things have been going too right recently for something of surprising, of some sort of surprise to happen. Anyhow, it may not be just right here, but it's getting, it seems to be getting support around about these levels right now. The other thing I was going to say is, when the futures contract came in, it kind of gave a lot of discipline to the crude market. And by the way, it also went down. So, the futures market coming into Bitcoin could potentially stabilize the currency somewhat over time, but it may also mark the highs in the currency because the professionals might come in and say this thing's overvalued, and if there's more leverage to do that, right? And then what also might happen is you also might get a situation where Bitcoin becomes less volatile, right?
Right.
And all of a sudden, and as I believe, we're either going to get a rally sometime in November in the gold, and it could be a big one, or it's going to start in 2016. Now, there's the potential for the market doesn't, in the gold for the last few years, we have rallied almost every January or February. But the big rally was 2016, right? And we had the biggest rally ever in history, just about more than 30 years. And it was a monster rally. And so I'm betting that 2018, we're going to get a similar sort of rally. And very often when you get that was a wave one, and now we've been in a wave two, and we're going into a third wave in gold in anytime between now and 2018. The gold rally that's coming could be well, it could be legendary. I mean, it could be a really, really big up move, because there's virtually nobody out there right now who thinks gold's going to go to 1900 or 2000. It's just nobody's even saying it anymore, than even talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And we may be ready for some sort of a move of that magnitude.
Yeah, the fact that nobody's got it under a magnifying glass, that's typically when it happens,
Right, and look, the other day Russia bought they bought another million ounces of gold, about 35 tons, 40 tons. I mean, they're doing it every month.
Wow.
And so is China. They're not publicizing it, but between China and India hasn't bought major gold for a long time. So imagine this. What about this for a scenario? All of a sudden, gold becomes the Bitcoin of this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And think about all that money coming out of Bitcoin and going into gold, because
Right.
that's the next big thing.
Because gold is still something you can hold in your hand.
Yeah, and the risk
if you choose to. And Bitcoin, I suppose you can hold that in your hand. I mean, you can store it in a hardware wallet that you can buy at Walmart. That's how mainstream it's gotten. And put that in your safe, and so your coins are not online, so they can't be hacked. And you can get a $75 model, or you can get a $175 model. This is some commentary that I'm reading. With Bitcoin's increasing acceptance by Wall Street, financiers, and traders, the sky is quite literally the limit for the digital currency. While Bitcoin's $116 billion market capitalization is large by the cryptocurrency world standards, it's tiny in comparison to the $639 trillion in the derivatives market. If even the tiniest fraction of those funds were to enter Bitcoin, its value would be inconceivable. Also, the Chicago Board of Options has gotten on board. They're going to be trading options, and Ledger X is the first federally regulated Bitcoin options exchange and clearinghouse to list fully collateralized, physically settled Bitcoin options in the U.S. With a sizable portion of institutional level investors wanting to join the marketplace, the change signals a major move for the federal government, offering a way for institutional investors to be able to hedge against price swings in digital currencies in the same way they protect against volatility in other assets. Well, and the Winklevoss twins got turned down by the SEC when they tried to open a Bitcoin ETF. Mm-hmm. But the SEC has said that they will revisit the decision if the regulated futures market, if the CME pulls it off, gets it going, they're going to take a look at the Winklevoss's ETF again, their application. Mm-hmm. Incredible times. And I think some people will, as they buy Bitcoin, they'll want to buy gold because, one hedges the other because they are two very different animals. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good time to be a trader and an investor, I guess.
Yep.
Just do your due diligence, make the right choices,
How did you do last night with the way the markets went? Because
Well, on the downside, the alert said to sell 25.69 on the S&P, and so that moved down 6.75 points. On the upside, it probably ended up being a stop out. Well, the way I teach it on a 30-minute chart, it might have walked away or not. I mean, it did give up 1 point, but stuff like that, I refer to it as a stop out, because that's probably what happens to most people. Now, on the Dow, we had suggested, if I can find it here, yeah, there it is. On the Dow, we were looking to buy 23,415, and look at that, we just went like one tick over the line. And we were also looking to sell 23,330 if we got the opportunity. And so the first one offered up 37 points, the second one offered up 41 points. But keep in mind, guys, the way we teach this is to trail your stop, and that means you're always going to leave a little something on the table. So just get used to it, get over it. Now, there is another way of doing it when you set your initial stop. If you're trading multiple contracts, rather than moving your stop or trailing your stop, if you've got 3 contracts on, you sell 1 on the way up, 2 on the way up, and your third one, that's your runner. Now you might want to trail that one very tightly. So either way you do it. On the Russell, we had, I thought I marked that up. Yeah, just a $180 move there. On crude oil, that's like a non-starter. It just can't get up and go. And on gold, we suggested buying $12.79. The first move up was good for $350 per contract. The second move up was good for $600 per contract. That's what the market made available. And I'm not seeing my NQ chart. What's that all about? Let me see if I can.
I just noticed this. Remember I was telling you about the gold and looking for a buying opportunity this afternoon? See, it's creeping higher right now. Not by much, but I think there's a possibility it could come down and test the 1275, 1274 one more time, maybe tonight. And why I'd be fairly confident of having a shot at that is because look at the silver compared to the gold. The silver is considerably higher than the gold, and we came off a higher low versus the double bottom on gold. That's pretty bullish when that happens. If you the key level, and that's one level, the next level is taking out that 1285. I think the surprise is you might see something pretty spectacular develop here in the next few weeks on gold to the upside, where you could get a very big move up towards 1400.
On the NQ, the email last night said to consider buying 62.38, and we got up to 47 at 20 a point. And the sell trigger was 62.16, and the swing low was 61.92. So not so bad there. Now back to gold one last time. Here's that daily chart that we put together. Now remember, guys, I drew fibs from this low to this high. Okay, that is what I consider that entire move. I also drew fibs on just the last leg, which was where did I draw that last leg? Okay, on the last leg, well, by golly, I'll draw it again real quick. I drew it from here to there. Okay, and then we came back and we sort of did this little double bottom kind of thing here, which is now a triple bottom. There, there, there. And that's right at the 62% retracement on the last leg up. It's basically the 38%. It's an overshoot of the 38% retracement on the entire move. So if we need to take out this high here, which is, and this is a daily chart, by the way, guys. This 50% retracement here, we got to get over 1316. And if we can clear, I know this is very forward-looking, but if we can clear 1333, this thing could shoot right up to 1363. It looks like the immediate hurdle in front of us is 1288/89. That's my humble view on this thing. So I like the look of it. I sure do.
Okie doke. Well, listen, thanks for the invite.
John, thank you so much. I'm sure you saw the tax plan. Not exactly what maybe we were hoping for, but at least we got something. So
better than nothing.
Yeah. All right, my friend. I will talk with you tomorrow.
It's better than nothing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll let you run, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Look at how much it's generated. I mean, effectively, it's generated about $5.5 trillion already, and they haven't even started it yet. So it's certainly done its job.
We rolled forward soybeans today too. I don't know if I mentioned that, but
to January, right?
I've got ZSF8. That's the contract with the most volume.
Yeah.
Did about 300,000 contracts today, which is a lot.
Yeah. Look, that head and shoulders top I suggested might be developing on the mid cap. We're breaking down. We've gone negative on the mid cap now. The Nasdaq has been unable to go back positive, and the S&P's gone negative as well. So this is a very tricky setup right here.
Yeah. Yeah, the S&P. Now these are this week's zones, guys. So if support gives way here at 71, nice little trade would be 69 down to 66. That's 3 points, $50 a point. So it's $150 per contract if it comes through. So just something to keep in mind. And our long still stands, but now that we've seen this nebulous action, I'd probably want to go 25.76 to 25.79. Tighten my stop. I mean, it could keep going, but a good chance it'll run into resistance there and consolidate for a bit. Okay, John, thank you for everything, and have a great day.
You too. Thanks a lot.
All right. Bye-bye now. Okay, guys, that's going to do it. I gave you the numbers at the top of the show. Let me give you the numbers again real quick. Here, the other markets are closed, so those numbers haven't changed. But here in the U.S., the Dow, as my page reloads ever so slowly. I hit the refresh button. It was in the middle of refreshing. So now it's doing a double refresh. TMI, right? Too much information. Okay. Oh, come on. Load up. Let's get this done. Okay. The Dow is currently up. This cash markets, okay? 29 points. Nasdaq is down 9 points. S&P 500 is down 5 points, 4 3/4. Russell 2000 is up 1.5 points. Not a mover or a shaker in the bunch. Crude oil has crept up since we started the show. It's now up 1/4, trading 54.55 last, and that's almost half of 1%. Gold has pulled back. It's up 70 cents, trading 12.78 last. A reminder, tonight is our weekly partners workshop. Okay, 9 p.m. Eastern every Thursday night. I think tonight's episode 360 something or 370 something. That's a lot of Thursday nights. Goodness gracious. Okay, if you want to come to the workshop, you have to be a partner. If you're on the trial, you should have already received an email from Michael with this week's special offer. If you did not receive that email, or the dog ate it, send us an email, support@cfrn.net. We will send you all the information that you need, everything that you get, how it all works, how much it's going to set you back. If you've watched the late night infomercial where they promise to teach you how to trade, you're a complete neophyte, know nothing. They're going to teach you how to trade in 5 days for just $7,000. We have an awful lot of partners who went through that course because it sounds real good on the infomercial. I almost reached for my checkbook. Just kidding. But they do give you some, basic, foundational, fundamental information that you could get from a $20 book on Amazon probably. But you know how the infomercial is. It gets you all worked up, your palms get sweaty, and next thing you know, you're dialing the 800 number. Unfortunately, what happens is it's really a infomercial about buying and selling stocks. They're going to teach you how to trade stocks. On graduation day, Friday, you start Monday, Friday you graduate, they have brokers on hand to help you get an account opened and funded, and that's when you learn that if you're going to trade the way that they've just talked about trading, that you have to have a minimum account balance of $20,000 or is it 25 now? Anyway, because you'll be considered a pattern day trader. And so in stocks, you have to have, it's either $20,000 or $25,000 minimum account balance at all times. Okay? And so everybody kind of gets a little bit upset because they just spent $7,000 for a course. Now they got to come up with all this other money to fund the minimum balance. And so they let the disdain sink in, and then they go, now there is another option available. And everybody goes, well, what? Well, in the futures market, you only have to have a minimum account balance with some brokers of $2,000, $2,500, $3,000. And everybody's like, whoa, that's huge. Or actually small. But how do you trade futures? Well, I'm glad you asked. Next week, we'll be doing the futures course. And because you guys have already gone through the stock course, we will give you a significant discount, which after the discount it's $7,000 for another 5 days. So I'm not putting them down. You notice I didn't use their name. You know who the late night infomercial guys are. Anyway, they've been advertising very heavily of late, but I don't care what the price is. If it's $7 or $7 million, you cannot teach someone how to trade in 5 days. You just can't. It's not possible. You can get somebody started. You can teach them, the lingo. You can help them understand trend lines, and you can learn a lot in 5 days. But most of the people who come to us after that course, they go, hey, I do know a lot more than I did 2 weeks ago, but I still don't know how to spot a good opportunity and how to trade it. And we say, well, that's what we teach. We teach you how to trade. Okay? And I got to admit that some of those folks are some of our star partners because they had the foundational knowledge, but they needed something that actually taught them how to trade. And what we do in the live training room every day, it is rules based by the book. You're never at a loss for what you should do next. Should I be long? Should I be short? Should I do nothing? It's crystal clear. Once you understand how the couple of indicators we use work, and once you understand our risk management policy and the 5 rules to the trade setup. Now, we use one trade setup, one set of indicators, and one time frame to trade the S&P, the Dow, the Russell, the NASDAQ, gold, crude oil, bonds, soybeans, anything you see us talk about here on the show. One strategy, one setup, one set of indicators, one time frame. Works across all markets. Now you go 5 steps. Wow, do I really need a 90-day mentoring program? I think you do, yeah. That's why we set it at 90 days. At the end of 90 days, are you going to know everything you'll ever need to know? I hope not, because I learn something new every day, and hopefully you will too. But at the end of 90 days, you will know how to trade, because the chart, it clearly shows you, once you learn the 5 steps, bullish cross, price pulls away, price pulls back, up close, by the open of the next candle, plus 1 tick. So whether you're in Brooklyn, Beijing, or the Bahamas, if you're trading the S&P or the Dow or the Russell or any of the other markets I mentioned, you're going to know that you should be going long now, and you're going to know at exactly what price to the tick. We are very aggressive with our risk management. Once you have 4 ticks profit in the trade, doesn't matter which market, you move your stop to break even. Now, a lot of people really flinch at that because they have a hard time even using a stop, but we use bracketed orders. And when you put your buy on a stop or sell on a stop order in, when that thing triggers, you automatically have your target and you automatically have your stop loss. And then as soon as you have 4 ticks profit in the trade, you move that stop to break even. You can do it manually, or you can automate the process, whichever you're more comfortable with. And people go, well, yeah, but don't you get stopped out a lot? Yes. But because we use an 8-tick hard stop, most we ever are out on a trade is 8 ticks. Unless it's a really volatile market and maybe you get a couple ticks slip or something, which is pretty unusual, but it does happen. Okay? So you never risk more than 8 ticks on a trade. As soon as you have 4 ticks profit, stop goes to break even. And once the stop goes to break even, you have no risk left on the trade. And as it continues to move in your direction, you lock in at least 1 more tick, because that will cover your commission. And if you're trading in a market like crude or gold, where you need 10 ticks to reach our goal for the day, which is $100 per contract, and that's where we start you in sim. Then once you qualify, pass the test in sim, when you go live, you only go live with 1 contract, and we want to see you increase your account balance by $2,000 before you add a second contract. This way you are underwriting that second contract with profit you earned in the market. Then you switch to a calendar-based system, so you know that if nothing goes wrong, exactly what day you'll add your third and exactly what day you'll add your fourth. Every time you add, you've earned the profit to justify adding the contract. if you haven't performed as you want to in that time period, then you don't add the contract. We start doing some one-on-one mentoring and we figure out, you know, sometimes we just stray off the path and end up in the ditch and we just need a little pick-me-up. So that is also one of the benefits of being a partner or being a mentoring partner or an active ongoing partner, is that you always have access to as much one-on-one mentoring as you need. With myself or with Michael, when we do a mentoring session, we use GoToMeeting, so it's just the two of us, and you don't have to type your questions in. We chat, we talk, and if you bring your charts from previous days, and if you bring, you know, trades that troubled you, we can together sort them out so that you see and understand what happened. Now, keep in mind that the best trader on the best day, with a co-located server and a staff scurrying around with tablets and big screens everywhere you look, that guy, yeah, you know the guy, he's going to be profitable on his best day 7 out of 10 times on average. There is no holy grail. There is no, and the human mind just continues to search. Well, there has to be just one indicator, one oscillator, one something. If I could just get my hands on that, then I wouldn't have to get stopped out. That search is like looking for a black cat in the dark that doesn't exist, because it doesn't exist. And the reason it doesn't exist is because there are too many variables at play. You've got news. You've got man-made disasters. You've got natural disasters. You have, think of a poker table, a really, 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 really big poker table. Okay? That includes every trader in the market that you're trading. The institutional guys with really deep pockets, the Main Street guy who's still working with one contract, and the butterfly effect can come into play. And if you don't know what that is, you should probably Google it, but it's like in Brazil, a butterfly flaps his wings and you get a tornado in Seattle. Just Google it, butterfly effect. Once you enter a trade, long or short, you have no control over the outcome. So this is where you have to separate yourself emotionally from the trade. You have no control. However, every other trader in the market does. Maybe you had a very solid rules-based reason to go long at 25.72, just to pull a number out of the air. Well, other people might be looking at something different, and they see 73 as a hot spot to sell. So let's say that people of that school of thought, you know, the institutional guys, and all of a sudden, man, there's so many sell orders stacked up at 25.73, and you get crushed. But the good news is you only get crushed for 8 ticks, because that's all we risk. And if it actually moves from 72 up to 73, you move your stop to break even, and you're only out the commission. Okay? Aggressive risk management. Now, that schedule where you start in SIM, go to 1, then 2, we have what's called the 2420 blueprint. That's designed to help you go from 1 to 20 contracts over a period of 24 months. Now, not everybody wants to trade 20 contracts, and some people want to trade more. Well, if you want to put it on pause at 5, you could do that. If after a year you feel like increasing that, you can. If you want to stay at 5, you can. Now, it's very conceivable in the first 6 months to, by following the rules, work your way up to 4 contracts. So let's say you're trading the S&P 500 or gold or crude. It doesn't matter, because the daily goal is $100 per contract. Once you reach that, it's time to take the money and put the mouse away. Okay? All right. So it's conceivable in 6 months to work your way up to 4 contracts. Remember, you got to pass the test in SEM first, then you go live with 1, increase the account balance by $2,000, and then the calendar will tell you when to do number 3, and the calendar will tell you when to do number 4. Okay? If you are able to achieve that and be at 4 in 6 months, that means we're talking $400 a day gross instead of $100, right? $100 per contract. So if you're trading 4 contracts, it's $400 bucks. On a 5-day week, it's $2,000. In a month, 8. In 6 months, 48. You get the idea. You can do the math. Now, there's no guarantee that you're going to be at 4 in 6 months, but there's nothing to say that you won't be. There's enough time there for it to happen. Okay? We don't, promise fur coats, gold teeth, or a Aston Martin. We simply tell you that you have to follow the rules. Now, once you learn rules-based trading, you can become a discretionary trader. And what's that? That's someone who's able to sit down in front of a chart and understand if we're in an uptrend, a downtrend, in the time frame that's relative to them, and they use price action to put on and take off positions. Hold for me just 1 second. I'll be right back.
I could have left it to you. I'm going to Robbins. I'll be back in a little while.
All right, sorry about that, guys. So, it's all laid out, black and white kind of a thing. All you got to do, if you didn't get your email this week, or maybe you took the trial, a month ago, 2 months ago, and you're at a point now where you've, maybe tried a couple other things, and see, we usually end up with traders who have a limp. In other words, they got beat up and blown up somewhere else, and then they come to us. We usually don't get the new guy because we don't promise you pie in the sky. The new guy who doesn't know any better, he goes to a website and it says, take our 5-day course and make $1,000 a day. Well, it's on the internet, it must be true. And then they find out maybe it's not true. So we tend to be a place of last resort because we don't put false expectations in people's head. I mean, we're going to teach you how to make $100 a day. Once you become consistent at making $100 a day, then it's just a matter of math. You add additional contracts. If you want to work your way up to 5 to 10, or if you want to follow the blueprint all the way up to 20 and beyond, you're more than welcome to do that. The key is learning to make the $100 per day per contract. That's the key. Because then, again, it's a matter of adding contracts one at a time at the appropriate time. Don't get rich quick. Slow and steady. That's how you build a business. And that's what we look at this as a business. It is a business. If you opened a Subway sandwich shop, you would expect a return on your investment. You would expect to sell sandwiches and at the end of the month show a profit. The same holds true for any business. Now, some businesses have a longer time frame to break even. I think restaurants like 6 years if you're still in business. I mean, with different industries it varies. In this industry, when people start making you promises and guarantees and all that kind of stuff, be very wary. Be very careful. Because there are no absolutes in this business. You have to, number one, have a definable edge in the market. Now, I'm not a gambler, but if you walk into a casino, there's a poker table, or I'm sorry, a blackjack table, there's two people there. One's a gambler and one is a businessman or businesswoman. Well, what's the difference? Well, the gambler, when he comes in the door, knows that the odds are not in his favor that he will win. The casino writes the rules to put the odds in their favor. That lets them build tall buildings and keep their shareholders very happy. Okay? Now, the dealer, the businessman or businesswoman who's deploying their business strategy, they have a very firm set of rules, and they cannot deviate. In fact, the pit boss or the eye in the sky catches them breaking a house rule, they will be escorted off the property. The casino doesn't expect to win every hand. They know they're not going to win every hand. But they've stacked the odds in their favor enough that over the course of a month, a quarter, a year, they'll make their shareholders happy. And that's exactly how you have to look at this business of trading. Not as gambling, no. Because you're not on that side of the table. You're on the dealer side of the table. Where the odds are in your favor, you have a definable edge in the market. And you prove that to yourself because you put together 10 consecutive days in a row in SEM where you make $100 gross in 10 trades or less. Once you connect those 10 days together, you know you have a definable edge. That's when you go live with one contract. And this is where your emotions rip you apart. Just makes you crazy. Don't let it happen. Okay? But we'll deal with that day when it comes. Right now, what you need to do is you need to email support@cfrn.net and say, hey, I'm ready to become a partner. We'll send you all the information you need, everything you get. And trust me, our cost is a fraction of the late night infomercial guy. And we have a great special this week. You can also call.
Throw in a couple bonuses.
We got some bonuses. 949-423-6464. 949-423-6464. Once you prove to yourself that you have a definable edge, okay, now you have to trust the process. If right now, if you don't have a definable edge in the market, if you get stopped out on the first trade or the first two trades, you get sick, literally. I mean, like you've been kicked in the teeth. With our methodology, you know stops happen. And so if you get stopped out on the first two trades, you know, you've got 10 trades a day to make your $100 gross, plus any rollover trades from previous days. Okay? That is a psychological tool. Because let's say on your first day you get your goal in 5 trades. Okay. Well, when you come in the second day, you don't have 10 trades to work with, you got 15. Because the 5 you didn't use yesterday roll over. So when you sit down and go, okay, I got 15 trades to make $100. I don't want to be cocky, but I think I can do that. Okay. And then you go to work, separated from your emotions, trust the process, and understand that it is simply a business based on probabilities. And if you got to go through a few losers, you go through a few losers, and by the time the day's over, if all goes well, and you don't change anything. See, people are always changing. Every time they step up to the plate, they change their swing. We've been swinging the same bat the same way for a long time. In fact, Michael's got a spreadsheet that he can send you a copy if you want one. You got to read all the disclaimers and all the disclosures and all of that. But we've been doing the same thing now almost 5 years. We don't flip-flop. We don't have, the new indicator of the week. Every time you're just about to burn out on some trading room, they come up with the new super duper whatever, and so you hang in for another month or 2 months, and then you're back to the same state of mind, and out comes another one. So we don't do that. We have something very basic, very simple. Our indicator set, whatever market you apply it to, it goes in and it finds the underlying rhythm of that market at that moment and clearly tells you if you're caught up in chop or if you have a trend, if you should go long or go short, and it tells you at exactly what price. It's a beautiful thing. I only wish I could have had something like this in 2005 when I moved from equities to futures. You get 2 hours of classroom training every day, group lesson, but you have access to unlimited one-on-one personal mentoring as long as you remain an active partner. So at the end of the 9 months, or the 90 days, if you want to continue coming to the trading room, you still want to get the weekly trading zones, you still want to have access to the thousands of hours of videos that we have in the members area, and you still want unlimited one-on-one mentoring, there's a minimal monthly maintenance fee. Well worth the price. And again, we're a fraction of what so many people out there charge. This one group's been around forever. They charge $10,000 for their package. Oh no, I'm sorry. They raised their price to $15,000. So apparently people are willing to pay $10,000, so they're testing the waters to see if people will pay $15,000. And I know somebody that owns that software, and they tell me it doesn't work so good. So I don't know. I'm not going to call names. We're not here to beat others down. We're just here to do the very best job that we can do for you. So when you enter the mentoring program, that's a 90-day commitment on your part and our part. We got 90 days to teach you as much as we can possibly teach you. And if you decide to remain active after those 90 days, well, we'll continue to be there for you. So it's just nice to know that there's someone you can call on a good day, on a bad day, whatever kind of day, and just say, can you look at this trade for me? We fire up, go to a meeting, boom, I'm looking at your charts. It's that simple.
One-on-one training.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you got, I said, speaking of one-on-one training, I don't know if you got my text message, but the guy that I have one-on-one training with here at 3:30, I need to use this because the other go-to-meeting does not work so well.
Well, you know what? Perfect timing, because I'm signing off right now. Guys, again, the number is... No, I'm done. 949-423-6464. 949-42-EMINI. Any questions, whatever it might be, get a hold of us, and there's still time to get you into the Partners Workshop tonight, okay? So, with that, thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.